commenters, and he's become a
Yep.
regular. So
Oh wow,
yeah,
cool.
Sometimes there's more people, but sometimes there's a very small group. Sometimes it's just a couple people, 3 or 4 people. But anyway, this is the thing we've been doing for a year. Fucking
here
how?
I think our first
For a year more.
Right?
Four
The stream is up. The stream has begun. I'm gonna start, Craig.
Now recording.
It's 2:13 p.m. Sunday, Friday, February 28th, 2021. That means it is the 1-year anniversary of the Yang Gang Roundtable. Welcome to the Yang Gang Roundtable. Crazy. We got Ariel, Jeremy. Well, Jeremy, it's been a long time.
It has.
Yeah. We got our newcomer, Lucas, Refluence, and we got myself. I imagine other people are going to start trickling in. The plan is to do a long stream today from 2 to 5, so welcome everybody. Thank you for coming. How are y'all doing?
Oh, well.
Doing well.
Yeah, it's great to hear from you, Jeremy. And you sound it's great both in the sense that your voice is fantastic and your mic quality is excellent, and also it's good to know that you're here and be in your company. How have you been?
Back,
yeah, well, I know you've been doing a podcast with Zach, which I try to catch. I have not watched as much of it as I would like to, and I should. So in the future, I'll try to catch more of it. But what have you guys been up to? What have you been up to? I keep cutting you off after asking a question. I'll shut up now. Go on.
In terms of media, not really a whole lot. Zach and I, we started a podcast, Rule 8 Politics. Unfortunately, that's kind of been on the back burner for a few weeks now. Just with it's been hard to align schedules with him and I. Zach is a super busy dude, and I am too camera shy to do these on my own. So,
but
that'll be picking back up again at some point, I imagine. And other than that, man, just trying to still keep in touch with the Yang Gang on Twitter. And keeping an eye on the mayoral race. That's always fun.
Yeah.
And,
man, I hope that's possible. It looks like he's the front runner now, but like I'm just cynical at this point of our electoral system.
Yeah, it's his election to lose at this point.
Yeah.
And I don't. All right. So like, Tom. With Nerds for Humanity was talking about this earlier today. I think like the only way that Yang doesn't just run away with it is if AOC endorses Wiley at like the perfect moment.
Pretty sure that's going to happen. Like that's the establishment plan, right? They always pull that off, and then it's like they have the timing right. They have all their ducks in a row. Yeah, they're great at sniping the front runner. So if he were like, I'd actually feel more secure if he were number 2, because then the Democratic establishment, especially if we're split between him and another progressive who can't really see eye to eye, then the Democratic establishment would have to really focus their attention on one.
Right.
So, and then I'd say like, if Yang was number 2, he would win because the Democratic establishment would have spent all of their sort of cheating budget on someone else, but it's going to be spent on Yang, and I can't emotionally invest because I see this future as the most likely, knowing our terrible system. But I hope to be surprised, man.
I approach the mayoral race kind of the same way that I approach politics in general. It's good entertainment. It's always exciting. It's always interesting. It's always fascinating. And I always just think it's fun. I think in a tweet that I replied to you the other day, it was just America's most interesting was when everything is on fire.
Yeah, I saw that.
And it really is. I mean, it's that's when the news is always popping. That's when things are getting shaken up. That's like when the real change happens. Is when things get turned upside down.
Yeah, it's better than being in a state of sort of a stable discontent, which is what we were in before.
Right, and Andrew Yang has turned the mayoral race upside down.
Yeah,
I mean, he's someone that no one expected, and he's coming in and killing it.
Lucas,
I agree.
What do you think about the mayoral race?
Well, it's interesting. I saw this person's YouTube channel recently. Forgot his name. I was just skimming through different channels, and it showed Andrew Yang was out in front. I think he was at 38% or 39%, like altogether for approval rating so far. But I could be wrong. It might just been points ahead.
Yeah, that's
you're
about right.
correct.
That's
Yeah,
about
you're
right. But what kind of inferences can you make from that data? If you care to. Not if you don't have any, that's fair too. I'm just wondering. That might be a good place to start.
I don't really know much because I just saw it recently, like a few days, like a week or two ago. But I think what's going to happen is it's probably going to skyrocket after the phone banking starts in a few weeks.
You think so? I mean,
yeah.
Do you think phone banking is that effective? Maybe it is. Maybe it's more effective on the local level.
I guess it can be for the people 50 and under. I don't know though. I'm just taking a guess.
Why do you think that?
Well, because older people normally reject you, like when it comes. But normally, I'm not saying this always happens. I know this because when I phone banked for Jamal Bowen last year, that kind of happened to a degree.
And do you say this from like your experience?
Yeah, from last year.
And not so. This is all right. So please elaborate on that. I'm always curious about. I'm a bit of a phone banking skeptic. I always wonder if it's maybe over promoted and perhaps not always the best use of our limited time and energy. But what was your experience? It sounds like it was very good.
It was good. We used what's that progressive app again? I don't even know the name of that. It's kind of similar to the open virtual phone bank call or whatever. It was kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was okay, but the only downside is it like was automatic on the computer version. I was like, really? That was
How would you have preferred it to be?
If it wasn't automatic every like time. That was pretty.
Oh, I misheard you. I thought you said the only downside was that it was automatic. And like you would have preferred to like manually enter from a spreadsheet or something real old school.
Yeah, that would have been
It's like really hard to find the advantage there. But yeah, that makes more sense. Well, thank you for sharing. If you don't know, and I think we said this before we went on stream, Lucas was someone who was in our YouTube chat yesterday, asked if they could join, and I said, yeah, sure, come on in. So welcome to the show, Lucas. We're glad to have you at the Yang Gang Roundtable. We're all basic income advocates. That's kind of the... And I mean, cool. I'm going to presume you're a basic income advocate, right?
Yes.
Oh, there we go. So
my mom been struggling for years. So we moved to Connecticut 11 years ago, and it's been tough, She works, she cleans houses.
Connecticut's an expensive place to live.
Yeah, it's an expensive place.
Yeah.
Where were you before?
Wait, what?
Where were you before?
Oh, I was in Mamaroneck, New York, in Westchester County.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
I'm in Orange County, New York myself, so I know the area.
No way.
Yes way.
I have a funny story about Orange County, New York.
Yeah.
At the what's that famous mall up there?
The Crystal Run, or the Gallery at Crystal Run, or the Orange Plaza? Yeah, okay, the Gallery at Crystal Run.
Yeah. Anyway, so I remember years.
Yeah, probably that one. Unless you mean Woodbury Commons.
Woodbury Commons.
All right, there it is. So go on.
Chinese restaurant. We're going to Woodbury Commons.
Yeah.
And I remember there was steam coming out of my dad's car. It's back in like 2002 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happened is the car literally broke down that day. So my dad had to call his repairman. I was literally there all day in Orange County that day because this all happened. My uncle had to come up from Westchester County in Mamaroneck. Because it was the only day I got to experience it.
That's yeah, very common story. Why were you in Orange County? I got stuck there.
Very common.
You know, this is so cool for our 1-year anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
Because Jeremy has been like kind of MIA for like so long.
Yeah, totally.
We've been kind of like sticking with it, and like Refluence joins kind of like quarter of the halfway. And then we got like the newest newcomer, which is Lucas. So it's kind of like a mix of people who were here, weren't here, came back, were here the whole time, just got introduced to the halfway point. and
Yeah.
just new right now. So it's pretty cool.
Not just that, but I'm in desperate perpetual need of an assistant or a co-producer to keep me on task, make sure the show flows, because I can't focus on anything. So just conveniently, mercifully, as soon as Nature's Fury took Fei Ku from us, for the moment at least, Jeremy has returned to help. So thank you.
and I can see from his glasses he's using one of these.
Yeah, let's talk about the show. Let's talk about the show for a second. Jeremy, you came to the show at a pivotal moment, and you had a transformative impact when you came to the show. I had a different format in mind initially. It was like Ariel was there, but nobody else from this room was there at the time. About a year, not quite. I think you maybe 9 months ago, maybe 8-9 months ago, this happened. You came in, and there was a presumption. There was this sort of serendipitous miscommunication. You had this presumption that because it was a podcast, we had guests. And that was not the format we ever had. And gosh, did you start inviting guests? And I think what happened is you'd like booked a guest, and it didn't match our format. But I was like, well, we have a guest. I'm not gonna, look a gift horse in the mouth. We'll just adapt the format. And it's just been great ever. I mean, it was good before, but the secret ingredient was like a new person every time. That really was the missing thing to make the show gel, and that's really your contribution. So, just infinitely grateful to you for that. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, man. It's when I first came on the show, I think it was March of last year. And so I wasn't like the original OG, but I was still pretty early on.
Pretty early.
And that was back when we had like group A, B, and C, and we had set topics. We would come in, discuss these certain talking points, and like it was a very different format show.
Yeah,
which it was cool. Like I enjoyed it back then. I mean, it's still a great show now. But it's interesting to see how the show has evolved over. I mean, just a period of a few months, but like we would like, so after recordings would end, we'd just kind of hang out and talk about, hey, would it be cool if we did this, if we did this, if we tried this? And then I was like, well, let me just see if anybody would like be willing to come on the show. And so the first interview or the first panel I set up was Tully, Fred the Felon, Kevin from Linsight, and was it just those three? Was there anybody else?
Dan from Montana, that guy.
Yeah, Dan Larson. Yeah.
It was a big panel.
Right. And then that didn't work very well.
Yeah, it was better to spread it out.
But it was a cool proof of concept. And, after that, we had Mike Breuer, and then it wasn't soon after that we had folks like Tim Ryan,
Blair Walsingham, Rokana.
Rokana.
Richard Ojeda,
Scott Santons.
A
lot of good guests.
Yeah, and what I found most fascinating about it was it often was not very hard to get people to come on. Every once in a while, you would have to jump through some hoops and rub some backs and grease some hands. but for the most part, you just reach out to somebody and be like, yeah, sounds cool, let's do it.
I mean, we got a strong basic income advocacy community, and it's a very compelling topic that a lot of people are very passionate about. So, I think that's really a lot of the strength of the show is just really the subject matter. We don't have to do too much. People really want this to happen, so that's heartening. It's been good.
Right. I think the biggest takeaway that I took from the experience was that how tangible politicians really can be. Not all of them, of course, but there's like, especially people running for office. People running for office want to be seen. They want to be heard. They want to reach out and communicate with people. And that was a very heartening experience. And the way Tim Bryan and Rokana were just open to being on the show too was like, holy shit! Like these are people that I thought were like way untouchable. Like Tim Ryan ran for president. Rokana is a massive name in the progressive wing. He's a Justice Democrat.
Yeah,
and they're like, hey, yeah, let's do it. Okay.
Yeah, really.
Like, wow.
Still really appreciate that. And I still pay much more attention to them than I would have if they hadn't come on our show. So I really means a lot to all of us that they put in a little FaceTime with us. And also you see them, they're like the only people in Congress who are consistently advocating for the amount of money like we need. Consistent recurring checks.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
I was joking before, cynically, I'd make these tweets like, are you looking forward to your $400 check in June? I kept joking. The amount got smaller and further away every time I make these polls. So I'm glad that the reality never got as bad as my jokes. It was pretty bad, though. Still.
But what I always want to know is that, like Jeremy, you were a great person to get guests, but then we thought we were going to get a person who was a great person to get audience and audience retention. And that guy, we had one guy, his name was like Joshua Eastlick, but it's just a shame to have like all these big names on without like a certain group of people like looking at it. I was wondering if there's a way we can like revive that stuff, but then see if like we can make a big splash somewhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah, I think the way that I always approached this podcast was not necessarily the like the like the advocacy arm or like the outreach arm was never really like my goal. Like getting people to watch the show, like bringing in a new audience. That was not my focus. My focus was really like just for like the benefit of myself and my friends, which I would consider you guys my friends. That like it was an ability for us to interact with people that we normally would not have done so. So like regardless whether or not like people tuned into it or like bought into it or if we changed anybody's mind, that wasn't really like never like my goal for any of that. It was just really just conversations with cool and interesting people, and I think this show has largely succeeded at that.
Definitely.
And yeah, absolutely, Jeremy. Thank you. And that's why I'm like, I never feel frustrated with the show as an entity, as an entity that's like progressing along some kind of track. I feel we're right where we should be, and it's been fantastic. And think about this. Rokana and Tim Ryan are the two I see most consistently advocating for recurring checks and for the checks that are backdated during the whole pandemic. And they came on here, I think that they to some degree internalized our conversation. I think we probably had a small positive effect. That's the change I want to affect. The show is for us. It's for the people who are having the discussion, because we are the people who are making the change, where more of us are running for office, more people who are in office are coming to talk to us, more people who weren't going to run for office are deciding to run for office because they're involved with this show. So it's been very good, and I don't need any like favorite, subscribe metric to tell me it's been good. That's not very meaningful. Anyway, yeah.
I think as our show has, the quality's gotten up and things have gotten better, that's when Sheridan did the face reveal. Turned out he's a bit of a blonde looking Abraham Lincoln who's really and now he's revealing his face on like Twitter. So I think it's like no, okay, this is really cool. I think our show is helping people come out of their shells. like people like Sheridan, who never showed his face, he was just a pot plant, and then Refluence and you too, Lucas. It's like you're just like random YouTube commenters. Usually there's just like an avatar there, but now we can like see, hear, get an opinion. So I think it's so beautiful that this idea of like a basic income, it's like everybody is a person, and it's like humanizing people, to not just be a profile picture, to not just be text, to see a face, hear a voice. I think that's pretty cool.
It's funny you brought that up because have you all heard of Ballotpedia before, right? The famous website that C-SPAN talks
Wikipedia or Pedia?
Ballotpedia. It's called Ballotpedia.
Oh, Ballotpedia. Yeah.
All the candidates in local levels and state levels. Well, anyway, I found out that some of them don't even have faces when they're running as a candidate. I looked even in congressional races, like Louisiana and Texas. I'm thinking, how do they?
Wait a minute, hang on. Vote for me.
Vote for me, dude. Oh my god, so bad.
Vote for me.
Oh my, that's funny. That's actually kind of spooky because
What a
I
joke.
yeah. When I was looking on our ballot for Hawaii, I looked at some of the names and some of them they even have like profiles and stuff. So it's, I guess like you have
Like,
to
could you
be more
imagine, like,
personal.
here, vote for generic candidate 1 because he believes in the higher minimum wage.
Imagine, dude. Oh, that'd be so scary.
Yeah,
It's like,
I'm like Lucas, or I do spend a lot of time on Ballotpedia if I'm going to be researching candidates, and right away you can tell if a candidate is actually serious or legitimate very quickly by their profile on Ballotpedia because it takes minimal effort to set up or complete that, and if the person that's running doesn't set it up, or if their campaign doesn't set it up, I mean, right away you can tell, yeah, this person's not serious. This campaign is not going
I
anywhere.
find it so hypocritical that conservative politicians talk about like laziness and the value of work and hard work. You're the laziest candidates out there. Like, what do these people do? They like beg for money and then they just say, "Oh, I just agree with the same stuff that you agree with. So just like give me money and vote for me later." It's like you don't have deep conversations. You don't do that. You don't set up a profile. You just say like, "Oh yeah, abortion sucks," and like I support the military, and I'm not into like transgender stuff. So just yeah, give me your vote. Okay, bye.
Yeah,
Okay,
what's
bye.
fun in my neck of the woods, we actually had for our primary, the 2020 primary, the so I live in a very red district here, and so this the Democratic challenger to Blaine Luetkemeyer in the House, uh, the woman who won the primary, the Democratic primary, was basically a fake candidate. Uh, she had a Facebook page that was inactive, and somehow, like, so there was two people running. There was a man and a woman, and like the man was actually like boots on the ground trying to make this happen, like to win the primary. This woman on the other hand, I mean, did absolutely nothing ever. Somehow won the primary and was, I mean, obviously just slaughtered when it came time for the general by the conservatives because there's no way a Democrat was going to win that race. But that was a very interesting race. That first time I saw where a fake candidate took
Right.
the primary.
I think
Wow.
our politicians are just getting lazier and lazier and more useless, and they're just like coasting on like name recognition and media spots, but there's no like substance. It's just about like creating a show, and the politics of like whataboutism and oh god, there's a word that I'm looking for. It's like when you're frustrated with people and you're jealous of people, like the politics of kvetching. Kvetch is like a Yiddish word. It's like bitching.
The
The
politics
spot,
of
like
resentment.
yes,
Resentment.
that's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, it's all about resentment. It's all about just resenting the other side and bringing nothing to the table. And I'm like, okay, you guys suck. Like, that's it. Yeah. Oh, Faye was here and she went without saying a word. That's okay.
Yeah, she just visited.
Yeah. Something like that. Jeremy, did you hear about what happened to her though?
The Fedoni?
Yeah,
No.
like
What happened to
the
Faye? I don't hear either.
no, not recently, but like
Oh, yeah,
she was
right.
headed on her way to Georgia, and then her to help with Warnock and Ossoff, but they both won, so there's that. And her car broke down in Alabama, Fort Deposit, Alabama, and she was like stuck, and like she didn't know anybody there, and all this stuff, and then she survived though. So
Yeah, I do recall that she was trying to get the mayor there to involved with
yeah,
mayor's fair guaranteed income.
Right. Yeah. But they just don't. I don't know. It's that they're still stuck in their old ways. A lot of 60+ people. It's like there's nothing you can say to them. It's I don't know. I don't know how you deal with 60+, but I mean, even in my own family, it's like I you can't get through. It's weird.
It can be tough. I think when, especially dealing with boomers, um, you have to be able to dig out nuance. Like that's what's that's the way that's why I like politics so much too. Is there's always nuance in the information. Like very rarely is anyone ever telling the whole story or the whole truth. There's always parts of the truth, and
Yeah.
there's always bits of nuance that creep into the conversation.
Look,
And like the discovering that nuance, like that's like if you're gonna have a conversation with these people, you gotta be able to find the nuance that you guys can agree upon. Or like
agreed.
if they're I mean, it's very common these boomer type folks will just be parroting what they hear on
Oh,
Newsmax or
yeah.
Fox or OANN. So like you have to just be able to like read. You also have to read that information too. You have to watch that stuff to know what they're talking about. So like if you're not paying attention to what's going on in Newsmax, well, you're or Fox News, you're not going to really be able to have a conversation with these people if you're not also informed on what they're talking about.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of like, it's like it's the difference between like chicken, meat, and fish. Like with the chicken, you can just like have it, and with meat, you can just like have it. But when sometimes with a lot of fish, it's like they're bones, and you gotta like pick out those bones. You can't just eat it because you're gonna be eating all the bones with it. So when you're having these conversations, you got to like take pieces out and remember what to put in, and it's not just like you can't it just can't digest, so it's like you got to
Mhm.
pick out those bones.
Right. I think you have to embrace the cognitive dissonance. Like
Mm.
seek it out. Find out where it is in your mind and then work back from there.
I think that's why Yang was so successful and getting so many conservatives on his side, because it's like you didn't vote for Trump because you're a racist, sexist, like lunatic. Maybe you had your factory shut down, and Hillary Clinton is over there talking about like diversity and like accepting, whatever, like transgender people, and you're like, okay, but like that doesn't concern me right now. Like I don't have a job. I'm struggling over here, and they're like, "Oh, that's just happening to you because like you're racist and sexist and blah blah blah." It's like, what kind of stupid message is that? It's like, okay, like let's look at that. Like we can like embrace diversity and all that other stuff, but at the same time, like look at your problems as like, okay, a middle-aged white male, you still got problems that you want solved, just like every other race and every other religion wants solved and stuff. And the Democrats and the progressives, they do such a bad job with that, and it's sad. And I'm just glad I found this.
Yup.
Yeah.
Like I voted Trump to be because I'm an American. It's like, bruh,
Yeah.
bruh.
I,
I'm done with that.
you ain't gonna tell me I can't do what I want.
It's funny when you talk about voting because I voted third party. I voted for Jill Stein back in 2016.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I did in 2012, 2016, and I voted for Joe Jorgensen this time around.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
still voted for Yang when it came to the 2020 presidential. I just wrote his name in because California was going Democrat anyway, like
Mhm.
obvious. So I just did it to be like, this is my guy, like,
Yep.
Yeah, I was pragmatic in my decision as well. I knew that Missouri was going to go for Trump, so voting for Biden was also a protest vote. Like you're essentially throwing your vote away there too. So
Right.
why not actually make your protest vote count and put
Right.
it towards a third party candidate that has the better shot of reaching 5%? So
Right.
Yeah.
like if I was in a swing state, if I was in Georgia, Pennsylvania, yeah, I definitely probably would have leaned more heavy towards Biden. But not being the case, I was like, well, I'm going to try to actually do something with this vote because a vote for
California,
Biden does nothing here.
California's
Right.
never, that's for sure. Not a million years. Yeah. But that's why nobody pays attention to their local things. Because local states that are just red and blue are always going to have Democrats fighting other Democrats and Republicans fighting other Republicans. Might as well get them to that UBI point, so you don't look at the D and the R. You look at, like, okay, let's dive into the nitty gritty over here and see all these nuances and stuff. And the more that we don't have that, the more that the establishment can just do whatever the hell they want with us, because they're like, oh, they're just going to see a D and an R. They're just going to be like, oh, who's most like this? And like, okay, bye.
Right. My friend Alex Tabbs tried to run against the establishment last year. Martin Looney, the head of our state senate in Hartford, he almost won. He was less than, I think, 500 votes away from beating him last year.
Right. Over here we had David Kim. He was this freaking close.
Yeah, it was close. It was close.
Yeah.
But I mean, sometimes though, sometimes it does happen. Example would be Cory Bush. I mean, knocking out Lacey Clay was, dude, you talk about like a fucking earthquake. That was huge. Lacey Clay and his family have been in Missouri politics for like 100 years. And Cory Bush, yeah, Democrat politics. And then Cory Bush just like detonated, just brought the whole building down. That was a race that I did not see that coming.
That's good.
That was huge. Also, I think Cory Bush's position on basic income is amazing. However, I'm not the biggest Cory Bush fan on anything else. But that was truly a grassroots movement that came to fruition very quickly. That was a very fast moving campaign.
But Jeremy, rather have her than Clay, right?
Oh, Lacey Clay, fuck yeah. All day. Yeah. I mean, she's also not in my district, so I can't vote for her. So she would have been off the table for me anyhow. But yeah, it was I mean, and just in terms of interesting political changes, that was probably the biggest one for me in 2020.
For sure. I don't really matter. Like, as long as I'm seeing new blood, I mean, even if it is a conservative, I'm just, you can't just like think that you just own the place and you can just say, oh, I have name recognition. Oh, I have the D next to my name. I got on the bag. I don't even need to do anything. That is the most, arrogant, un-American, because Americans are supposed to work for what they have, and these, career politicians, sure as hell, they're not doing that.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Right. I think it will be interesting in terms of keeping an eye on the conservative side of things. I'm still very much interested to see what happens with Josh Hawley. He is the only one on the right that I can really point a finger to that will openly use the word oligarch in a speech, which is very fascinating. Like that doesn't happen on the right. You don't have conservative voices rallying against the oligarchy. So I think that's I think it'd be very. I'm keeping a close eye on him to see where his career goes. We're talking about career politicians. He definitely is one. However, for him to change the narrative and discussion around that on the right, I think is very productive.
But the irony is, though, the Trump family is kind of like oligarch.
Yeah, he completely embodies all of that. Yeah, the elite, the oligarchs. Yeah, he is that.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, there's a little contradictions there, but as you said, cognitive dissonance and nuance. But the good news was that he was for the payments of the 2000, and yeah, I don't know what happened with that.
Hi, Mia. Welcome to the show.
Yo.
But
bit in and out, but I wanted to stop by and say hello. I'll be back in just a few.
Well, I'm glad you stopped by.
Okay.
Stop by.
So I have placed in the live stream chat a link to my tweet announcing this stream. If you guys could please retweet it, that'd be great. Maybe some more people will show up. It's also in our Twitter DMs, so hopefully some of our other regulars will come stop by and maybe some new people. So sorry to interrupt. Please continue.
What were you guys' thoughts on that Paul Gosar guy yesterday coming out with in support of 10K.
I love
And
that.
so
I mean, people are saying poison pill, and probably in practice it is that, but it's also really good for the narrative and for the Overton window, and I really hope it inspires similar actions on both sides.
I don't see why it's such a big deal even the 10K goes through, because come on, in 08, how much money did we give to like the corporations and the people who caused the problem? They got bailed out.
And there's a sorry, let me cut you off there, but there's a popular to your point, Ariel. TikTok. There's a popular TikTok going around that's even gotten ported onto Twitter, showing how by just removing one single tax cut from a I'm not sure if it's the newest COVID bill. I think it's in the COVID bill. I think it's in the most recent relief bill. You can give $12,000 in change a month to every American.
Yeah,
just by snipping away that one new tax cut they slipped in there.
So the thing is that like, and in 2020 we just did it again. It was part of the CARES Act. If the money in the CARES Act went specifically to every citizen instead of the gobbledygook whatever the hell they did, we'd have like what? Like it was like 12,000. I don't know, but if it's like 300 million citizens, all the money in the CARES Act, split it evenly among everyone, way more than $1,200. Like I forgot the amount, but way more.
Right, and it's cool to see anybody, but make the same arguments that Yang did during the 2020 campaign whenever he talked about the bank bailouts.
Right.
Yeah, they talked. When he talked about the $4 trillion that none of us voted on to give away to the banks, and we got nothing in return. We all got kicked out of our homes. We all lost our jobs, and that was it.
Yeah. Doesn't make any sense. Like they say, like, oh well, you want a handout. It's like, hey, do you know who gets the biggest handouts? Bonehead, Trump, Lindsey Graham, Dianne Feinstein, Nancy Pelosi. You want to talk about handouts? Wall Street. Yeah. You want, and it just makes me want to strangle him sometimes. But
you can't say that, Ariel. You got to learn to use double speak.
In Minecraft, I want to strangle them in Minecraft.
It makes me want, like, okay, my foot and their butts need to have a very important meeting.
Yep.
Can't.
Good
All right,
point.
there you go. Now you're learning.
Yeah, you meant that instead of the,
Right, yeah. Pronunciation.
Pronunciation error.
No, but seriously, like where do they go after that? Like where? Okay, we give your politicians a handout. Like Trump, like Trump, if he didn't touch like his inheritance and didn't do like all this like business stuff with him and just left it somewhere to just grow, he'd have more money.
Yeah.
And we're talking about like, oh, you didn't work for your. Give me a break.
Yeah, he literally squandered his fortune and was rewarded as a genius for it.
But you see, like some people have like they're born in this life with cheat codes, like kind of like like in a video game we all have like default settings, and then you can go to default settings, give yourself a little more life, give yourself a little more points and stuff. Basically, like there was a long time ago there was a thing from the PlayStation. It was called like a Game Shark. And it had like all the cheats, like infinite ammo, infinite health, infinite whatever. So infinite money. So some people just come into this life with like the infinite health, infinite ammo, infinite armor cheat codes. And they're talking about like fairness and hard work and all this other stuff. And it's like, you have the cheat codes, man. Like, don't, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's and some of the other places, like if it was a video game, some people choose the harder difficulty not on purpose. Like I seen this one meme, like Filipinos like there's like easy, medium difficulty, hard, and then impossible, and then the racial ethnicity would be Filipino for impossible difficulty. It's like, dude, I'm Filipino. You know what that makes me feel? I mean, I had it nicer, but Philippines got it tougher, man.
Yeah. Jeremy, are you a gamer or you're not really into that stuff?
Not really. I mean, I dabble in PC stuff, but I mean, I remember Game Genie before Game Shark.
Oh yeah, that. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Game Genie.
so you understand the analogies though.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's it. But yeah, and it's like and also like some people are born with like glitches. They're not really that nice, you know.
Yeah,
It reminds
I
me
get that.
of the movie like Wreck-It Ralph. But some people are like they purposely want to make you the glitch so people don't listen to you. And it's like in that movie Wreck-It Ralph, it's like there's certain people that can go into the source code and mess up the game. And I think that's what they did to Yang. They went into the source code and they turned his like mic off at the debate. So the whole let Yang speak and stuff. It's like when you're the programmer, it's not like a democracy because you can set it up. And who's the programmer? Are the people who program us? Like Fox News and MSNBC. We didn't elect them to give us all of our information. I don't remember electing Roger Ailes, and I don't remember electing like Rachel Maddow. But they control so much of people's behaviors by the information they put out there in the ether and stuff like that. So
Influencing
something
is
about
very strong.
yeah, it's very very strong because like it's kind of like an uphill kind of like it's like you're swimming against the current, right? You swim with the current and you swim against it, so it's not the same energy. Like when we have people like Tulsi and Yang, they're swimming against this current. Where we have people like Biden and Klobuchar and Buttigieg, the current goes with them. So when the current goes with you and you're swimming with it, it's much different than you using your energy swimming against it like that.
Yeah.
Refluence, did you get in touch with Tom from Nerds for Humanity about your upcoming run for mayor of Maui? Oh no? All right. So send him a friend request on Discord. Yeah. Okay, send him a friend request on Discord, message him on Twitter, or actually just go to that what was the project? Jeremy, do you remember the name of Tom?
Nerds for Yang.
Yeah. But his project that's based on
OTP of the people.
Of the people. So that's the avenue through which and capacity in which you want to contact him. So
sounds good.
I told him yesterday when you were in the room. I'm glad you were in there while he was in there because prior to your arrival, I described how you were going to run for mayor to him. So. Proud to add you to the roster of Humanity First candidates. What's that now?
Where do I find of the people?
Jeremy
I googled it.
It is ofthepeople.us.
Like old times. Thank you.
Thank you.
Like 9 months ago when Jeremy would have the URLs ready with a serendipitous speed.
I did for a little bit yesterday.
Oh yeah,
I was chilling in that chat.
Yeah.
It was nice to see you. Yep.
Oh, it's like I see.
So Andrew Yang physically intervened on a ferry to stop an assault. How about that? If you want a little change up for our boss and savior. Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is like, God, that is like the best PR piece,
right?
Just like served on a platter. Like,
superhero mayor in great shape, not afraid to brawl. That's like the headline. Superhero mayor.
The guy was gonna,
and that's final fight. It's Hagar. Anyway,
the guy was gonna beat him with a pipe, right? Like one of the reporters.
It was a broomstick.
A broomstick? I heard pipe.
It was originally quoted as a steel pipe. That was actually a broomstick.
Wow.
Steel broomstick.
Well, I think that since we have Lucas on, Lucas, when was the first time you've ever heard of a UBI idea? Was it before Yang, after Yang, or like what was just?
It was on the Young Turks around the time he was running for president. I don't remember exactly the date.
That's funny. I also saw Yang on the Young Turks. That's when I was introduced to him, and you're the only other person I've ever talked to who can confirm that he was even on the fucking Young Turks. October 2018 is the date. October 2018. That's when I saw him. I remember, because I was like, wow. It's too bad that this guy is a super, third-party candidate who people will forget and no one is, I'm very cynical. So I was like, yeah, if there were a real chance his campaign would go anywhere, I'd be real excited. And then it did. So I was.
And what's so bummed, and this is what pisses me off about primaries. Our state is the last one to vote every single time in presidential primaries. It always pisses me because we never get a chance.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, what state are you in? Because I wasn't here when we got introductions. I don't think we've actually met before. Hi, I'm Mia.
Hi.
Same state as Eric, Connecticut.
Connecticut.
Have you met Eric Kairosis? You've been here with him, right? Yeah. Right, man?
I know Eric.
Okay, yeah. I'm sorry. It's like...
Kairosis
it's hard to keep everything straight. You've been there, yeah.
Anyway. Well, I know him as Kairosis from a group chat, so we go way back from that. Okay. But yeah, I'm starting to know him as Eric, so that makes more sense.
He often comes late, and sometimes you leave early. So I'm in my mind, I'm like, maybe they haven't. I don't know. Maybe you haven't been here together. You have though, right?
Wasn't he on yesterday?
Yes, he was. Okay. Anyway, yes, I thought you knew him, but they're both from Connecticut. Just a great coincidence.
What is Kairosis his actual last name, or is that just?
That's his handle.
Yeah, I thought so.
I like that guy.
What ethnicity would that be? Okay, if it were a last name.
Yeah, it would be some. I don't know.
Orcish.
Ancient Greek.
Elven.
Yeah. Ancient Greek, I think, because it has that.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Oh, hello, Harry.
Now we got Ohio. That's the state he's in.
Hi.
Hey.
How are you, man?
How's it going?
How's everybody? Chilling.
Yeah.
Blowing on your arm, I see. Your mic is muted.
Oh, no.
Oh, sorry.
There you go. You're back.
Sorry.
Okay.
I'm a bit congested this morning because I had too much pizza last night.
That makes you congested?
Yeah, I had too much pizza last night and it caused a bit of issues.
Okay.
So I should have saved more of it. And then I had the rest of it this morning. I was like, I shouldn't have done that,
I fast until 5 every day. That's the way to go.
I don't know if it's the gluten. I don't think it's the gluten by itself. I think it's just the fact that I had so much of it,
Yeah.
When you say so much, how much are we talking here?
Deep dish pizza from a place that has deeper dish pizza than I've ever seen before. And I had a lot of slices of it.
Wow. Chicago style is rough. I mean, it was delicious. It's just rough on the digestion.
Yes, very much so. I really should have stopped after the first 2 or 3 slices.
Moto always says
not deep dish.
What?
Is it addictive?
In the sense that it was very tasty, yes.
Yeah, okay, there we go. That explains it.
Moto used to say, you can't force slice. You can have up to 3 at a meal, but we've long since abandoned that.
Yeah, especially when we started making square slices.
Yeah. Wait.
Yeah, there's a grandma-style pie is a thing around here that I only recently discovered, and it's freaking great. It's like a sort of alternative to Sicilian, but like a thinner crust Sicilian that comes with sweet basil and fresh garlic on it. Very good.
Oh, here I was thinking it was going to have mashed potatoes and turkey or something.
No, I feel
the
bad.
I know.
But I feel debauched talking about decadent takeout food during a time of starvation, so I'm going to stop.
The really terrible thing about this pizza I had, or great thing, depending on your perspective, was that even though it was deeper dish pizza than anything I'd ever tried before, it was still crispy on the bottom of it and doughy above it. It was best of both worlds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And also I did not have to buy it myself because I was visiting with a friend who was able to afford it. I offered to pay part of it back because it was so good, though. So I'm probably going to pay him $6 later. But
the best pizza is free pizza.
I know, right?
The
best pizza is free pizza that is so good you end up wanting to pay for it anyways out of guilt.
I'm all for pizza.
That sounds complicated.
But let me tell you something. A lot of corporations use like pizza parties in lieu of actual financial compensation.
Oh yeah.
Like,
oh yeah,
you're working hard, and they're like, "Oh, we can't give you a raise. We don't have a better position for you. We know that you've worked overtime. Pizza party."
What really bothers me is that someone and management thinks they've fucking gotten away with something. Like anyone's that fucking stupid. Like, yeah, they don't understand that they're being compensated at a lesser degree because they just feel like it's the same. Yuck.
Well,
speaking of which, on very relevant subject, see the picture they made on this guy and what it says here. It says Jet's Pizza, better because it has to be. And look at how creepy that guy smiles. Like you can really tell that like guy in the picture, that cartoon character is a really overworked, depressed worker.
Can't see it. No.
Oh, sorry. Hold it up higher.
You see it like the way he's like eyebrows, he's like a little bit. He's like had the big fake smile plastered in his face. Like he's really uncomfortable.
My Italian family would be very angry about that.
Need a fucking better graphic designer.
I like it.
Look at the message. Look at the message. It says better because it has to be.
He looks like a villain from like a mustache twirling villain who ties girls to like train tracks.
Was that drawn in like 1970?
That's when you know the pizza place is fucking legit though.
Yeah, no, for sure.
That is
for sure.
Yeah,
we definitely are not selling it based on our advertising, so you know our pizza's good.
I like it.
It's like the pizza is amazing, but at what cost? You know what I mean?
The graphic
at
design.
what cost? At the cost of making this. The cost of making this poor worker guy in the picture into this monster. You know, driving him crazy. Like they drove him crazy, and that's why he had this like twirly mustache and creepy grin.
Yeah, yeah, that's funny. You would not. I would not want a guy like that in front of my door delivering me anything.
I know.
At least he has all his teeth, though, right?
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's like it's like he's a carnivore or something. He's gonna eat you. You know.
Right.
Or he's gonna eat your pizza before you have the chance to eat it yourself. Or you might bite into it, and then it's like now your pizza is poisoned with his spit.
There was an article that like, okay, like the worker revolution was stopped because of the pizza party.
It was what Ari was talking about there like does happen. There have been a few points in my previous employments of where I would get like a $3,000 bonus, and the reward for the other employees was like pizza party. That's definitely a real thing.
Gift cards too. Gift cards instead of anything for sales rewards.
I mean, it's all they want you infantilized because like the more reliant you are on them, the less likely it is that you're gonna go anywhere else. And it's like I'm sorry, but our whole like schooling and work system is like designed to make us dependent a little bit when you think about it, because it's like you have and there are no critical thinking skills taught at all of how to like investigate, look through evidence, Socratic questioning methods to do. It's just like shut up, listen to me, do the homework, bring it back, rinse and repeat. And you should just be lucky that you're in the middle class or you're rich.
Not until you get to like higher learning, and even then not like as a requirement or anything, just like as if you're lucky enough to have an English class or something like that cares enough to teach you how to do that. But definitely nothing that generally comes in like grade school or pre-K, which is really when you should be developing those kind of skills because you're very curious at that age.
Wait, hang on a second. They do the opposite because they say like no, don't do it your way, don't do it, don't question me, and like don't do that. So they get your natural curiosity and your investigation skills, and they make sure it's like crushed out of you, so you're a mold, you're a piece of clay that they can shape in any way they want. Do whatever that.
When I was in preschool, I distinctly remember that like when they first showed us how to fill like latex gloves with water and turn them into water balloons, and me and this other person in the preschool were like these other kid, we were like super excited about it, So we ended up going to the restroom and constantly like pulling out latex gloves, filling them with water, and playing with them with their water balloons, And then eventually, and we were like so fascinated by it, but like because of that, we weren't spending as much time playing outside with the other kids, so we weren't as athletic as the other kids. So like the preschool teachers got really upset about that, and they were like, "Stop wasting your time with these water balloons, or like go outside with the other kids." And like eventually, they forced us not to fill water balloons anymore because we were probably because we were wasting a lot of latex gloves, you know. But then they made it forced us to go outside, and and I had I don't know about her, but I had no idea how to interact with any of the kids out there because I only had one friend who was the one who connected with over latex glove water balloons, you know. So it was like, and all of a sudden I had no idea how to interact with anyone.
Just like the conformity aspect of like PE uniforms and crap like that, they still do. It's like everybody has to wear like the same exact like clothes and stuff, and they made it like mandatory, and I'm like, well, this is stupid. And it's like, no, and then when you have to change in like the locker rooms, it's
when
like
I was in high school, it wasn't like that.
Naked.
Yeah, I didn't have to wear any specific uniform. We were just told wear shorts, tennis shoes, and some sort of shirt that's loose and fitting.
For
Yeah,
PE.
same.
I'm talking about for physical, for not even for PE.
Yeah,
we didn't have to either until they made it a requirement later. But I always hated that middle school. That place was
conformity.
yeah,
That's a doozy.
yeah, conformity sucks. You know, and
and you know what's even worse though is that they'll make excuses for it. Like they'll say things like, "Oh, it's because we don't want the poor students being feeling jealous of the rich." Like they make it like, "Oh, well, if a richer student comes to school with all these like super expensive clothes and designer clothes or something, it's gonna like cause bullying on the younger students or something." They're like, "Don't." Yeah, it's bullshit.
Give those poor families some money, you cheap assholes.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, let's be fair with the school systems. They don't really have that option, particularly public school systems in poorer areas. So to say that, say give your students money, well, they can't give their students a proper amount of paper to do their work on. So let's keep within their resources as well. The schools should be better funded if we're going to ask them that first.
Like $740 million that wants some jet program or I don't know what the hell, and you can't like think our priorities are all screwed up with.
Although it occurs to me, maybe one of the reasons for uniforms in like poor schools might be that a lot of the students might not be able to afford their own clothes, and they don't want everybody to know which students those are.
Some the schools make you pay for their stuff too. I remember like in music class, you needed a recorder, or maybe it was just in case you lost it, they made you pay for it. I think they would like rent it out to you or some crap like that, which is still like still kind of sucks. But yeah, there were some things in school that you had to buy. They would not.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember that. You're right.
Yeah. So
were uniforms one of them though?
No, yeah.
Depends on your school. Depends on your school.
Yeah, I figured. Yeah.
I went to Beverly Hills, so people could like afford that stuff. But I mean like the Beverly Hills schools were this is what I get that like really bothers me. I have like cousins who like went to private school, and they're not even teaching them anything about money or critical thinking or any of that stuff. So it's all the same. Like I don't think I would have been any smarter if I went to a private school. It's all because I see it's like all the same. It like all of these, whether they're private or public or religious, they don't teach like the life basics. Home economics is gone, shop is gone, like all the practical stuff is like dead, and it's all theory based. And then people blame the millennials like, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. Well,
You know what would be interesting? Like a lot of the reason why a lot of it's replaced is because it's not really practical in our day-to-day society with the way we work. But it would be interesting if we replace it with the other practical skills that have developed since, like say a 3D printing class instead of a woodworking class.
Yeah.
You know, that would be really useful to people nowadays because that is an up and coming skill that is being used to create models to help move things forward.
That's 3D
printer. Yeah, I have one. I took a 3D printing class at the YWCA, and I designed tons and tons of stuff. But at the end of the day, still was hard to, find work and stuff because it was a growing industry. But I put my models on this website, so if people like want to buy stuff, it's over there. But yeah,
You have that Andrew Yang bust on there because that's awesome. Just as a quick.
I still have it. Hang on, let me show everybody my bust. One of them glows in the dark, the other one changes color and stuff. It's pretty cool. Yeah. Oh.
But that's a practical skill that you can justify teaching students these days.
There you go. You can even see it says math on there a little bit, and it comes in different colors.
He kind of looks like he's made of soap, and I could like use him, like set him in my shower.
Yeah, right.
Dang soap.
Here's one with moving parts. I think I showed you guys this before. It's like a little like robot.
Transformers
and
Andrew Yang in. Oh, it's not.
Yeah, this one I made all by myself in the putting together software in something called Fusion 360, and it glows in the dark. These white parts. They're color change filament, glow in the dark filament. Yeah, it's cool. But at the certain time, like even when you learn a skill, you should also learn. They should teach people how to monetize their skills. Because there are people who have tons of skills and tons of creativity, but they're still broke because they don't know how to market. You can be the most
like an Etsy eBay class or something, maybe.
Right? Yeah, like teaching people the basics of marketing, because you can have the best skills in the world if you don't, if people don't know you have them, and if you can't, tell them, it still doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's what like Skillshare is all about, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
They let you market your skill. You're learning a skill, or are you learning how to sell those skills so you can make some money? Because there's a difference. You may know how to be the best, pianist in the world, but how are you, yeah.
What's even worse is if you learn a bunch of skills before learning how to market them, then it's like the system doesn't believe. The system doesn't believe you have the skills you have. So it's like,
yeah. Like
there should be like a cryptocurrency class for high school students.
Ariel, if you clip that part where he said that,
yeah.
Like if you develop lots of skills and get really good at them, but you do it in a way that's not like, publicly tracked within the official establishment system, then everybody thinks you're just some nobody who doesn't have the skills you have.
Exactly. Well, it's all about trade skills nowadays, but in the future, it's got to be like 3D modeling, like cryptocurrency skill, like video gaming skill. That could be a skill like in the future. I mean, tons of people have, even me including, like.
I think all skills are valuable for the most part. I just
looking for a way to not compensate you for the skills that you do have and tell you that you're being greedy or selfish or too money hungry if you want compensation. But because like you don't learn this stuff, like what is your worth for the services that you want to give out? And since they've made us so used to like unpaid internships and like college credits and stuff, our generation is so frightened to like ask for money to
I like to use this demonstration of value generated within a video game that is not evaluated by the system. So you've got a person who works a job 40 hours a week and then has a part-time job on top of that, and they're struggling to try and take care of their home, right? They're under extreme levels of stress. They go on to this video game, this MMO, where they're socializing with a bunch of other people. They want to be able to play the high-end content, to feel like a hero, to come home and not have to deal with the life that they normally live. But they don't have time to run the kind of high-level guild that would support those kind of players. So who's running the guild and providing that level of stress relief for them? The guild leader is running the guild and making sure that people are there for him to play with at the time that he has available. He's actually providing a service that is definitely not recognized by our global market.
Exactly.
Leadership.
This is the thing. Like even Mike Rowe says this. everybody wants to work in the corner office, but then we're not going to have the people who's going to build it. If no one, and then this push when I was growing up, college for all, theory-based education for all, especially if you come from like an affluent area, it's like, well, and then they're like, oh, you owe money and nobody wants to hire you after this. And it's like, okay, asshole, like, why did I listen to you for all those years? In fact, like, and then they said, oh, well, you could have made your own choices. No, that's very misleading. You know why that's misleading? Because you drilled it to do these things into our heads. The minute we set foot in a classroom, you drilled these things into our heads, and now you're telling us, oh, but you could have just chose something else. Go to hell.
Yeah, it's not informed consent if they lie to you, and it has to be informative in order to be consent. Like, if you made a choice based on something they lied to you about, like that's not
exactly
really,
what.
Yeah.
And
I
that's
think
why
I think it's both true and untrue. I would say from experience that most of the time most jobs are not going to work out. However, and oftentimes, you do have to take it on the chin, take a job that you're overqualified for, start at the bottom, and it sucks, but I mean there is value, and there is advancement that can be found in the grind, and
for some people,
with that,
most people not.
Yeah, I mean I mean, well, unless all right, I would say I will challenge you. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm not saying that you're wrong whatsoever here, but I would challenge you to give me an example, give me an example of when that did not work out for you. All right, and let's start with
An
there.
example of a job that didn't work out for me.
All right, I'm like I said when I first started this, not every job is going to work out. It's just a reality of life.
But
However, there can advancement and monetary gain can be found in almost every employment. I will say that.
Well,
for some people, not for everyone.
The thing is that it's not fair when they can just pull the rug under your feet whenever the hell they like. Even if you're a diligent worker who shows up on time, you get the job done, and you're doing things right, and you don't call out late, or you're not sick, and you do it, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, something went wrong, and we just have to like let you go, even though like you've worked here for so. But it's like they can do that. It's like, oh, and then
they do that.
They do that, and then they say, oh, and we don't even have to provide for a reason. Like that guy who worked like half as much as you, kept showing up late and like messed everything up. We can also keep them and just let you go without an explanation, because hey, that's the way that we set it up. Like
that's don't have the way of the road
or accountability. It's like, it's bullshit.
And I will also say that a lot of jobs where it's like you when you try to advance based on those jobs, as soon as you leave those jobs, you're just a number to them. They're not going to give you make references. They're not. If you try to have a new employer call the old employer and say, "Hey, do you know this person?" They might not even remember you, and then it's like it was on your resume, but it's like people may not believe you about what was on your resume for whatever reason, because it's like if you don't have the reference because the old employer isn't able to be contacted, like it's not even there sometimes, I think.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I have to go shortly, and I saw where Faye is at, and I'd like her to just explain that really quickly before I leave, because she just got here and I haven't gotten a chance to have her, so.
Hi, Faye.
Sorry, I've been trying to drive from Vegas to Reno and maybe beyond today. I've been slacking, but I had to go pee, and I found Area 51 Alien Center, and so I was like, oh, cool, I'm gonna buy some postcards.
You gotta send me one. You gotta send. Those are so cool.
That is so awesome.
Yeah, there's an alien cat house brothel as well over yonder, so I don't know.
That's hilarious.
Are you actually near Area 51?
Do they do the anal probe stuff?
Yeah.
In that brothel?
Oh my god. That's gross.
They're really capitalizing on the tourism aspect, aren't they?
Yeah, there's also just nothing else in the area, so I know
There's no
kind of,
storming crowds there right now either, right?
No, none of that. No. But yeah, I'm trying to get I'm trying to get to Washington by tomorrow, and I don't know if I'll pull it off, but whatever. I'll try. It's supposed to get
You
really
got
cold
this, Faye.
tonight. Yeah.
You
You
got
know, it
this.
occurs to me that whatever's actually going on in Area 51.
If you can survive Fort Deposit, you can do anything.
Yeah.
I just realized, it just occurred to me, if regardless of whatever's actually going on in Area 51, the fact that people made up a bunch of stories about aliens, so now it's like they have this mystery that they can cash in on. It's like, are they aliens or they're not aliens, and like nobody really finds out what's actually going on in Area 51 because it's like everyone's talking about aliens and like they probably get so much money pretending that maybe it's aliens, and it's like nobody finds out what's actually going on, which is probably something much more mundane and probably more disgusting than that. But
there was a comedian who said like, why are aliens like abducting like the dumbest people? They go to places like
Wasn't that George Carlin?
Yeah. Bill Hicks. I think it was Bill Hicks who said that.
I don't know.
Me too. He was just saying like why would like an alien go to like some old southern like rebel hillbilly place and like abduct some farmer or something?
It might be one of those things where it's like maybe it's like more powerful people who are just doing it for shits and giggles. They abduct random people, actual people abducting them, and then they bribe them afterwards. You know what I mean? So that they end up saying, yeah, it was aliens that kidnapped me. It was aliens, not a human. Because then if it was a human, they'd get in trouble for it. But if it was an alien that kidnapped me, that's like, and that alien gave me a lot of money, so I wouldn't talk about it. You know what I mean? It's probably not what's going on, but like it's one.
Yeah, there was a story.
MK Ultra stuff.
Yeah, of a guy buying experimental like aircraft, and they said like, well, wear a gorilla costume so people like just think they're crazy, so they don't see. So they.
Okay, I do have to go, so I'm going to say
Bye.
happy anniversary, Yang Gang Round Table. Bye-bye.
Gang gang.
Sheridan.
Thank you, Mia.
Oh, he's not a pop
My
plant.
boy.
Nice.
Yo, he shaved.
Yeah, look at this young buck coming in here.
Yeah, I did. My campaign definitely pivots me on inexperience, so I was told that the beard is a turnoff, and I listen to my constituents, so got rid of it.
What happened to Lincoln? What happened to blonde Lincoln?
Yeah.
Well, I just came from my ward meeting, and I wanted to tell you all the good news. I am now my precinct's chair, so I am on my county central committee as a vote, and I'm on my way to state central committee to change our platform, and then I'm really just one step away from Congress there. Just need to actually get all that rolling.
Make history.
Yay.
Indeed.
Don't forget us.
I won't. Yeah, I'll definitely. I'm still intending to be a regular speaker here and give the insight I can as a regular, normal person in Congress.
That's awesome.
Even like long time official. Sorry, Harry. What?
Sorry, I was gonna ask. How do you make it this far? Like, I'm kind of curious because I think most people, if they were most regular people, if they tried to do what you're doing, they would have to get like some sort of like more powerful person, like get on their side or something in order to let them in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it really depends on the state because the way our democracy's power is fractured is it's state by state. New Mexico is very, very democratic and very open to getting people into the party. So they actually have grassroots meetings, these ward meetings.
Oh, nice.
Every 2 years in odd-numbered years to make sure that the party is being responsive enough to people directly.
Nice.
So it's just a matter of going to these meetings, talking to the people, and telling them what you value and what you will do. And
I take it that because New Mexico isn't a swing state, right? So that means that...
No. We are definitely a solid blue state. Sorry, what?
So because it's not a swing state, that probably means the powers that be don't care about it as much, which means they're not going to try to control the elections there as much.
Yeah, that's definitely some truth. There is far less money coming in to sway our state, but that also means that it's a grand opportunity to help pull ourselves and the Democratic Party into where most of us see the Democratic Party going, such as passing monthly cash. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I live in Ohio, which has been a swing state for like forever, and
well, it's not a swing state anymore. It's actually considered solidly Republican.
Well, that's only because of Trump, I think, because Trump like pulled a lot of like the moderates towards Trump. So it's like not there's like probably a lot of people who are voting Republican here who aren't actually Republicans; they were just moderates, you know. So
yeah,
I don't think it's really changed in terms of people's like overall political views or perspectives or culture. I think that people are just voting for representatives. Yeah, exactly. People are voting for Trump because the hype and because he's this famous reality TV star who lots of people liked, that sort of thing.
And that's where money and influence can really swing a state is when they are just more influential. These undecided voters that just want to join the hype train.
Yeah,
and it's pretty easy to hype.
I honestly suspect that if it wasn't a Trump candidate, if it wasn't Trump or a candidate that resembles Trump, they'd probably be a swing state like normal. You know what I mean? I mean, we'd probably be a swing state like normal if it wasn't a Trump candidate or a Trump-like candidate.
So, hey guys, I just wanted to pop in. I'm probably going to lose reception once I start driving again, but I thought it would be funny to share Area 51 with you guys a little bit.
Cool. Don't find any real aliens.
Take some pictures there.
Take pictures.
I did a little bit of video, but I feel like I want to just get on the road. There's man. But
well, if you're ever there again, take more pictures, take more video. That way, you can point out all the ways that you doctored it, right?
Oh, right. So if anyone wants to check out photos, videos, or whatever, you could go to my link tree /Tisdone TISDONE.
Is that linked in the chat? Got muted.
Okay, yeah, she's already.
Yeah.
I'll write it down again. What is it? Tisdone at what?
It's Linktree, linktr.ee and /TIS.
The live stream chat. Live stream chat, right? Okay.
Maybe. I think she might have dropped it there. She normally does put her credits in the link live stream.
It's not.
It's up a bit. It's up a bit, but it's there.
Yeah,
it's not properly linked.
History, but I have to look for it. I'd rather try it again.
And I'm just gonna say, I'd rather have that cat in the Senate rather than Mitch McConnell.
Those cutie patootie.
He'd make a way better senator than some of the ones we have.
Wait a minute.
She would make a better Speaker of the House.
Wait. Are there any laws against the cats running for Congress?
There are. There are at the federal level, but there are some states where the requirements, I believe Arkansas's governorship doesn't have any actual requirements for it. So a baby, a dog, a monkey, anyone can run for governorship of Arkansas.
Yeah, I've seen
them really do that. Totally do that.
I've seen in some states they got a dog for a governor. Yeah.
They do? Really?
Yeah. Some states have a
dog governors.
Minnesota has a mayor. It's a dog.
Oh man.
Let me see this.
Yeah.
Well, guys, so we got to do this. Form a company based in Arkansas and then run for office as the company.
That's testing citizens united.
Let's do it.
Big idea.
Oh yeah, his name is Duke.
Yeah, I put the story in the chat.
Well, wait a minute. We have to do that right, because the thing is, if we start a company like that and we do that, a lot of people who are more powerful than us will try the same thing. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, that's why you invest in Bitcoin and
Don't
wait
be
for the rest of the
ashamed that we
world to
got-
realize that the American economy is a sham, and you know what? When it crashes, you'll have
that's-
Bitcoin.
Oh yeah,
That's a real
yeah,
concern I have right now.
obvious that they're being ridiculous, right?
Look,
Like,
if they
Bitcoin
crash the
miners aren't selling right now. Like,
what's that?
Yeah.
what's really concerning me is Bitcoin miners aren't selling what they're mining right now. They're holding it as an actual currency.
Means it's a good time
Yep.
to buy. It means that we are sitting at the moment in history when we can become wealthy. This might be our only chance to really become wealthy, when there's going to be like 100-fold spike in Bitcoin. And the old rich will be comparatively, some of them poor. Not all. But some will actually lose for the first time in not just their lives, but in like 3 or 4 generations, the rich have been just untouchable, you know? But look, one way this whole thing could shake out, one way the geriatric ogres could get out of power, is they could simply fucking crash the ship so badly they can't stay aboard it. They could crash the dollar. We could lose the state of being the world's reserve currency, and the dollar could be in a real crisis like it hasn't been since maybe ever, since prior to the Great Depression. And then if that happens, you know, they will they'll leave power, because then, you know, the money won't be coming in anymore. The people will stop paying them because they will have, you know, affected the fortunes of their donors. Finally, they'll be out for good, and then we'll be able to go in, become, you know, the new elected officials, rebuild a new government, a new America from the ashes. So don't be afraid of that. That's one way this could end. It's probably one of the better ways, frankly, because just straight up strict electoralism with no cost isn't gonna happen.
Hey, I'm actually championing that.
Possibility.
What's that now?
You said there were 2 possibilities. What's the other one you're thinking of?
No, I said that's one possibility. I didn't say there were 2. There are a myriad.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think there's a lot of different possibilities. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. You know.
Yeah, this is one of the best, though. One of the ones that costs the least human suffering is the oligarchs just crash the ship so bad it crashes the dollar. We lose the world reserve currency. There's some human suffering there, but it's mostly not it's not as much the kind at the bottom that kills people. You know, so I'm fine with it.
Sadly, that's not
likely
how it would go.
Yeah, maybe not. All right, well, Sharon, how would it go?
Capital flight, as nice of a thought as it is, especially having the wealthy elites just take whatever they want and leave, that doesn't happen. Like, it's been proven over and over again that if you raise taxes, if you increase the cost of living, the people who leave aren't the rich people, it's the poor people who have nothing.
Oh, no, I'm not saying they're going to leave. They're just going to be ruined and be stuck.
Well, what I mean is that they won't be. The point of being wealthy is keeping value.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sure they're invincible somehow.
So they would simply shift their money as it was crashing, like any other
You're
asset.
right. You're right. And they would cheat us out of our fortunes. But the best we can do is get onto the ship they're jumping on before they're there, so that we're closer to them. Those bastards.
That's kind of the point. It's basic income, just to split our American ship.
Right. I mean, we need to work. Right. That's something we need to do as a people, as a government, get basic income. I'm just saying, like, individually, all we can do to protect ourselves at this point is crypto, unfortunately.
That's your thing. Yeah, actually, there's a lot of options in addition to crypto, and I think there's a lot of possible ways it could play out besides just them crashing the ship and breaking the dollar. Because the thing is, like, a lot of what people aren't realizing is that the way they're able to maintain their power and control over us and be able to make our socioeconomic system so predictable on a global level is partly because most people aren't really participating in it much, you know? So it's like, you know, there's a very hard limit to the amount of creativity and imagination that can be brought to bear on these sorts of problems.
Cancun cruise.
Cancun. Yeah, hang on a second. There was a senator who said, like, he opposed the $15 minimum wage because he earned $6 and that was enough. But it's $24 today with inflation. So I think this guy is a real Looney Tune.
I mean,
that was Senator John Thune.
Oh yeah, fuck Thune and Manchin.
So he's a Looney Tune.
Yeah. Do you guys remember, by the way, do you guys remember when I was talking earlier in the Twitter chat, like about a week or so ago, I think, about it was about the Hosenacht. Remember that? Where I was talking about how like a hypothetical situation where where the government passes a law that makes it illegal for anyone with a net worth under $100,000 to wear pants. The thing is that if you teach, even people at the top often are very lacking in creative and critical thinking skills, you know? So if you give them some of those skills and they start learning them from the first time, they're going to get overconfident. You know, they'll suffer from the Dunning-Kruger effect, and they'll try things that seem like really creative, cunning ideas, but are actually really stupid and are really overconfident and will end up causing them problems. Like that law that I just mentioned, where they could like ban people who are too poor from wearing pants. Because if they do that, it will backfire on them really badly. Because then it'll be like all these like more ethical, more powerful people will be like, "Why we didn't ask for this sort of from you. Like, why are we the only ones wearing pants? This is gross. This is ridiculous." And then everyone just starts going nude to their business meetings at a protest, you know, and
Right.
to his face, and nobody trusts them anymore. That sort of thing. Or the other example would be something like you guys were talking about with the dollar and everything, and like, and another possibility I thought of would be like, what was it? If instead of just crashing the ship from crashing the dollar, they could just embarrass themselves in a number of ways, just by being overconfident that way. You know, if they get too comfortable with their power, and they do something really stupid and obvious that everyone can tell is really stupid and corrupt in a really obvious and blatant way that doesn't divide anyone anymore because it's too obvious for people to fight about, you know, like then it's like they lose power from that, you know?
I feel that that's already happened just on the Republican side. January 6th was an unacceptable political attack on our literal institutions of democracy.
Yep.
Like, there's no coming back for the Republican Party. The best most Republicans living right now can hope for is to join the Blue Dog Caucus of the Democratic Party and have them shift as they are to center right.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put that in the big maybe category.
Yeah.
I don't think MAGA. I think will eventually dwindle out, but I don't think that's gonna happen.
I don't think MAGA.
I don't think that you can say that the Republican Party at the state or federal level has truly shown the republicanism that their core values want. They've truly abandoned that for fascism under one narcissistic man. And that's what I mean. Like, the magic can't save them from this.
Perhaps. I think just in general, political ideologies on the left and right are shifting, and we are like in a major pivotal point. So
Paradigm shift.
Yeah. So saying things will seem more radical than, I mean, things actually may be quite radical at the moment. However, when the dust settles, I mean, the after the realignment is complete, I mean, the both parties will look quite different. But it's to your point, yeah. I don't think that the like the original GOP
the
is going to
old
be
guard
around anymore. Yeah, that's done with.
Most of the old guard have already switched over to the Democratic Party and become a blue dog like Elizabeth Warren.
I just wish Yang could do to the Democrat Party what Trump did to the GOP. Like,
the best you, because what Trump did to the GOP was truly sabotage it and completely annihilate what it stood for. The GOP used to be just a little bit racist and mostly about reacting against all the social progress we were doing and blaming it as fiscal conservativeness. But now they're just blatantly racist. Like, Yang can't do that to the Democratic Party. I think Joe Biden's message was the most emblematic of this current Democratic Party. He said he was a big, empty tent. And that's pretty much what the Democratic Party wants. is they want to be this big empty tent for all the moderates to come in and talk about nothing. But that's not a party. And as they grow and try to keep bringing in more and more people, it's going to become a little packed of nothingness. So I see a split happening where the more progressive Dems split away from the center-right Dems. And that's how we would get the two parties back. Because I agree, the system forces a two-party duopoly.
We're going to get a lot of Republicans winning in like 2022 if we don't see some cash relief, if they keep like backpedaling on their promises. It always happens.
Yeah.
It's this every 2 years, always presidency and Senate and Congress, Democrats, empty promises, Republicans winning seats.
One thing that I definitely do need to consider a lot more is the cowardice of our Democratic leadership, because they truly don't, especially when they get power. Like having Chuck Schumer talk with Mitch McConnell about how the Senate should divide power among the minority or majority leaders was a ridiculous thing to read. It should have just been Chuck Schumer is now the majority leader and Mitch McConnell is bitching about it. That's what it should have been. And the Democrats had the power to do that. They chose not to because they want the Republican Party. They want an easy political target. And that's what we need to change. We need to move on from these easy base political moves. We need political change, not political careers.
Yeah. Well, I will say that I'm not so sure I expect, even if conservatives in Congress join with the Democrat Party, I don't really expect that to really help conservatism much, because our entire system, most of our infrastructure was built off of the scientific method over the past few centuries. So it's like, and the scientific method tends to benefit more, mentally oriented, liberal sort of values in progress rather than conservative types, which is the whole reason that conservatives keep trying to sabotage liberal social progress in the first place, because they're trying to, level the playing field so they can start catching up on their own terms, but like.
And that's really the core of my campaign here in New Mexico. Our state is a poor state. We may be democratic, but we are still unbelievably rural. We get $2 from the federal government for every dollar we pay in federal taxes. We need cash, and basic income is going to be the way that we get those resources to those conservatives who are only conservative because they feel left out. Like, we need to build the democratic community and expand ourselves.
Well,
that's
it would
good.
make more sense to say they're only Republican because they feel left out. Conservative has more to do with their culture and values.
You're right, Republican. I do mean to use the party labels, not the ideology labels.
Yeah.
Sheridan, I have a question.
What's up?
Because I'm new here, because this is my first time joining today.
Well, welcome. It's our 1-year anniversary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I saw the stream through a filter yesterday, and I found it yesterday.
Nice.
I'm glad we're getting recommended.
Yeah, I'll definitely tell my friends Killian and a few in Connecticut here about it. So my question is,
we're moving up in the world because we could talk to Tom from Nerds for Yang, right?
Well, I was going to say that, but I was actually going to ask Sheridan, are you running for the state house or in New Mexico? I was just curious.
I'm running for Congress in 2022 for New Mexico. So right now I'm taking the steps within the Democratic Party of New Mexico. I'm currently a precinct chair for my neighborhood, working closely with my ward chair who manages several precincts. And I'm already on our county level central committee, which is the main Democratic body for the entire Bernalillo County. And I'm currently campaigning to the state central committee, which is where the real power of the Democratic Party happens, or at least the political part of it, happens for New Mexico. So I can change our party platform, hold our leaders accountable, have authority on who I support, and engage more voters. So it is a complex process, to say the least, but it's once you lay it all out, it does make sense, and you kind of see why. Well, why people are like go local first, but also you see why our leaders are the way they are, because they've just been in this process of going through these layers and levels for so long that they're just acclimated to politics as a career rather than why they started.
Right, like Christian Gillibrand, New York, who it's funny because when she was on her interview last year running for president, she with Judy Woodworth on PBS News, I'm thinking, why is she like being proud that she's only 1% in the polls? You're barely like moving up in
Yeah.
there.
Pretty embarrassing.
Yeah, it was very embarrassing watching.
Yeah, at least Yang got like a good 4 or 5%. Like, granted, I think he should have gotten more if he hadn't had that media blackout. But like, I don't know what Christian was proud of with that, because I think I know what you're talking about. I saw it on the NewsHour at the time.
It's probably partially because they mess with the polls a lot, and partially also because
actually there's a really good theory that I purport from a friend of mine who said it's like going to the beach with a bucket, grabbing a bucket full of water and saying, "Look, my sample says there's no fish in the ocean. We should panic."
Exactly like that, yeah. But it's also because their methodology is terrible on purpose. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I mean by them messing with their polls. Like, their data doesn't mean what they claim it means. They're lying.
And Kingdom Hearts, if I could urge you to check out Eric Storsund. He is running for Congress on basic income in Connecticut.
Oh, so really?
He may be your representative, so connect with him and help him out.
Eric, what's his name for next year?
Eric Storsund with a K and Store SUND.
Oh, is he the one I was talking to the other day on here?
Yeah, he's Chlorosis in the channel.
Cool.
I remember that guy.
Yep, he's a really cool guy, and I'm very excited to see his campaign grow.
Yeah, for sure.
Like an ancient mummy.
I think I spelt it. Is it Eric Storkson?
Store.
Yeah, I'll find it for you.
Store, STORE SUND.
Like a store you go shopping in. STORE. Sund, like the sun, and then a D at the end.
It's the K. Rose's guy.
Yeah, that's the Kyria. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I found him on his Move to Amend website.
Yeah.
It says here, yeah.
Nice.
Is District, or is that somewhere else? Connecticut 3.
Wait, Connecticut 3. Is that Rosa Dolores district? Because that's the district I'm in.
Yeah, that's the lady. Dolores.
Then support him. He's fighting for basic income. He's actually fighting for a more progressive version of it than even I am. I'm supporting monthly cash of $2,000 from birth to death. But he also supports reparations and one-time adult checks.
Man, that's like such a harder sell.
That's why I love it. I want to give everyone as much money. Like, if I could have a magic wand, everyone in America would at least have $2.5 million.
That sounds good.
At least.
I do good things with that.
Reparations of $100 billion to everyone who's affected.
Sure.
That would be cool.
Also, real quickly, please don't take this the wrong way. I'm trying to be really polite about this. But
it's always great when someone has to preface what they're going to say with that. We go.
I want to make sure I'm not being impolite later.
Well, the thing is that I'm going to go on. Well,
yeah, but I don't know. I just want to double check. Like,
he's not.
What pronouns do you prefer? Should I use he and they?
No, he said he is a guy. He said he is.
Okay, to make sure. So just he, not he and they, just he.
He said he's the only guy around that. I don't know. He's a guy.
Okay, just to make sure. That's what I kind of suspected, but I wasn't sure if it was like just the guy or if it was like guy and something else.
So what made you decide to ask instead of like waiting to see if you could figure it out? Not to put you on the spot. You were like, I don't want to do something really awkward, but here it is.
The thing is, I think it would be better to ask than to assume. You know what I mean?
Sometimes
Yeah,
it's very
Sometimes
situational.
it's
You know,
better to ask,
it
you
depends.
know?
It depends. Sure.
Because like some people, like I mean, usually if it's really important, like someone, either they could just tell you. But the thing is, like a lot of people are kind of nervous about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I feel like that. But top priority is I just try to make people feel included, accepted, and comfortable. And I like and
the
like
thing is, if somebody really does have like different pronouns that people are just assuming otherwise, like that can make them uncomfortable too. You know, so they want to make sure. You know, there's no right answer that would be certain not to make.
Well, I know you had fully good intention. I think that
you know what I mean?
I think there was I know you had fully good intention. I appreciate it. But I think there was everyone was comfortable in the room. It didn't have to be addressed.
I know it doesn't really matter, but I just want to make sure I'm not like using the wrong pronouns later. You know what I mean?
Right, I understand. All right then.
Sorry about that. I just want to make sure I'm asking instead of assuming. You know.
You've made yourself clear.
Rosa DeLauro looks terrible.
I know.
It's such a bad picture. Like she's all old and like her face is like red and ag. Like
Ariel, let's not make fun of people's appearances, man.
Hey, I think Nancy can be an exception.
All right, whatever. All right, that's fine.
It's just a...
I was really shocked.
What?
Hold on. I was shocked to hear my friend Killian out when I talked to her last year.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
talking about basic income. Me and my mom been struggling for years, and it's like I called her off. They still didn't even care, and this was like months ago.
Oh my gosh, that hits me really hard because I actually did the exact same thing with Deb Haaland, and she's a pretty progressive representative compared to all the ones in Congress right now. But I asked her to her face, would you support ending poverty with monthly cash? And all she had to say to me, like when I tell her I'm affected by poverty and I need cash, she goes, go check out my table. Like she doesn't care about dealing with the actual problems.
Oh, wow.
She cares about making more tiny programs of means-tested welfare that will keep her employed.
Wow.
That's what I'm fighting against so hard is so many of our politicians are there for a career. They want to be there forever. So they never deal with their problems. They just make minor programs that will fail and are made to fail.
I'm sorry. That sucks. Looks like the Wicked Witch of the East, West.
You know what would be a come back to that? If somebody tells you that, go check out my cable, you can say, oh, I already did. That's why I'm asking.
That's exactly what I should have said, but she was like walking off to her freaking car, and it's like, unless you're going to start like harassing a congressional member as a protest, that's kind of rude.
Well, it's not harassing. You ask one question and then make a response to a response, and that's it. You know.
I know.
But real progressives in our state house, state senate in Connecticut. James Aroni, who's my state senator in West Haven in Milford area, and Will Haskell, the youngest guy ever elected to the state senate in Connecticut.
Oh wow! How young is he?
I think he just turned 21 or 22, like a year or two ago when he ran.
Wow! That's so awesome to hear that young people are getting into state legislature.
That is awesome.
We
and
really
the first year to be elected to the state senate. It's incredible.
It's been like a propaganda.
I didn't catch it. It was too fast.
No, it's been a propaganda campaign against our generation that like politics is too boring to be involved in. Like we should like pay attention. But I think like if we got involved in it, we can make politics something that's actually like enjoyable and we can all talk about it and we can
absolutely like the reason we have parties and they're called parties is because people had parties about politics. Like you actually had a jamming house and you went in, signed up and found out what your local leaders were doing. Like,
that's actually true, because I've seen the word party used so many times in the way of like a collection of people who are loosely associated with each other, like somebody joining your party.
Boring.
You know, in context that has nothing to do with politics.
well,
So I
you're
kind of
more of the colloquial understanding of party came from groupings of people rather than the other way, but it still tracks backwards. So,
Yep.
I'm gonna Google that etymology. Hang on.
yeah,
I'm gonna create the party.
I love that emoji.
Party.
Well, I mean, this is our 1-year anniversary, so this has been quite the party.
Here we go.
Oh, actually, Kanye West, he found the birthday party.
A body of people united in opposition to others, also in party. Sense 2 of the noun from Old French partia, based on Latin partire, divide into parts. Party, sense 1 of the noun, dates from the early 18th century. So no, it has nothing to do with holding parties.
like I said,
holding parties probably came from the original use of the word party, where it's like you're participating. You know, you're holding a party, as in you're holding a part. You know, you're taking part. You know, that's probably where it came from.
Yeah, I think this is just great. Like, the more fun we have on here, and the more jokes, and the more like banter, I think the more, cool people it's going to attract, and we can turn politics on its head from this boring, old people who belong mummified already to like.
Yeah, we need to end the geriatric incumbents that we have, like legit 80-year-olds in charge of millions. Like,
right.
Who would put an 80-year-old general in charge of millions of soldiers?
Right. I think. Hey, I think we're over with the geriatric theatrics.
Yeah. I'm taking that. I'm stealing that.
Yeah, take it. Just put the name next to it. but take it. Say it. And geriatric theatrics.
Harry, I don't think we got that. It seems like you might.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to press the L button. Yeah, I was saying. I don't think that we're turning them on their heads, because their heads are already turned over. Their heads are so turned over that they're up their asses.
That's the truth.
I was going to say, Sheridan, I can tell you're going to win because you're learning to steal, and that is the American way.
Yeah, America.
It's not just that. I'm bringing some innovations of my own.
Congratulations, man.
Hey, look, if my steal from me, let them. I don't care.
Indeed.
Also, Sheridan, would you be interested in taking a look at the do-it-yourself economic recovery plan, do-it-yourself kit that I made? Because I think it could really help if like other states copied it.
I will definitely check it out and see if there's anything I can contribute to our resolutions committee from it, because that's what I'm really heading for, is to change our party platform.
Yeah, because I think a lot of it could really be helpful if it was like adapted to other states. If people made their own versions.
Definitely. I think. Are you following me on Twitter?
I think so. I don't remember.
Well, you might be following my old account. Unfortunately, Twitter suspended my old account because I was being too aggressive. And my new personal account is at Lund Sheridan. So it's a bit easier to find.
22 is no longer on Twitter.
No, that's my campaign account. That is still around. My at @JSaberGamer account. That was my personal account for years. I made that back in high school. And
I don't know if you told it or not. Because when was it banned? Because I only joined this channel like within the past month.
It was banned this last weekend. I think it was Saturday.
Oh really?
Wow.
Yeah. Oh. Unfortunately, I've been out of the loop for a couple of days.
Gotcha. Oh, so what's the new account called?
At Lund Sheridan.
Lund Sheridan, yeah.
Yep.
I followed it just now. Easy.
Thank you.
How do you spell London? What was it again?
At Lund Sheridan.
LUND. There we go.
Yep.
At Lund Sheridan. There we go. Found it.
I like that. They'll have the beard.
And if you could DM me that book there, Harry, I'll give it a read.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, we'll do. Yeah. So do you want to just look at the book, or do you want to look at the list of links, including that I? Because basically what I did is made a flyer.
whatever you think is useful, I'll read it.
Anyone, the books, both Sheridan and Harry's books, are in the Documents channel, where they will remain archived for anyone who's interested. So.
Yep.
Sheridan, you still got the Abraham Lincoln thing going on in that profile picture.
I do. Because I do think that it would be better to leave that as my personal account, because I loved my beard. Like, as soon as I win this primary, I'm getting the beard back.
Yep, you better.
Because
the beard's great as long as it includes a mustache.
I like my beard, it's not on me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's the thing, like that's what I thought, like Yang could have been a lot more aggressive when he was like, you know, the debates and stuff. But then when he got in, then he could have went back to his old calm, you know, nice humanity first.
I completely agree. There were like not every debate. His first 2 debates were great. Being the low guy, especially that early when a lot of people were just tuning in to find out, he did those perfectly. What he really needed to step up with was that one debate that we all thought he messed up on, but everyone else was saying he did great. He needed to be more aggressive in that debate. Yeah. If he was, he probably would have made it to that January debate and at least held on until like South Carolina. Because a friend of mine actually my campaign manager, thinks that if he had held on to South Carolina, he could have been that comeback kid instead of Biden.
Yeah, perhaps. I think he just needed more money tree moments. You know, the money tree in the wine cave. I mean, that was probably like that was probably the best moment of the whole debate cycle, besides the Tulsi takedown of Kamala. But yeah, those 2 really did have the best moments.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what people are. I mean, that's what I remember when I think about the debates.
And it also sucks because like Ryan, when Tulsi went after him through the wrong school they were going after.
Oh yeah, for the Taliban thing. Yeah.
What
that was bad.
Yeah.
What really bothers me though out of those debates is Kamala actually shifted her position to include monthly cash into her platform just before she ended her campaign. She even has a bill in the Senate for $2,000 a month to every citizen, retroactive to March. So it bothers me more that she's silent about that now. Like, she's literally next to Joe Biden all day. And she can't go, hey, Joe, you remember those $2,000 that you said you'd go out on day 1? Let's make them monthly.
Yeah, she's Mike Pence now.
Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a black Mike Pence.
Yep.
Yeah.
I heard from this lady, Lisa Cabrera, on YouTube, stimulus is only going to last through September this year. After that, there's going to be no more stimulus checks for the package. That's what I heard, at least.
Well, we gotta pressure him. I mean, that's why we do this stuff, and we pound on their free doors, rattle their cages. I don't care, whatever the hell you want to call it, because our leadership is, I don't know, it's trash. I was gonna say it's just trash. Yeah, but we got people like Sheridan, we got people like Eric, we got them like a new crop.
Rika, we have Wendy in DC, we have Alan Ellison in Florida, we have Angelica in California. I mean, we're rising everywhere.
Hamilton, right?
I'm sorry, what?
You're talking about Wendy Hamilton, right? I think.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
I heard of her. Yeah, Cameron had her on her.
She is super cool.
Yeah, she's amazing. It's only, but I think if we get some pro UBI guys to run in the conservative sides again, I think they have a great chance of winning, because it was the Trump clout that we had an amazing candidate in someone in Tennessee, Blair Walsingham, but all you have to do in those areas is say that you're going to lick Trump's feet and they'll just vote for you. But now that Trump is gone, I think that they'll have a better chance. People like her, you know. Yeah.
Also, Sheridan, I just sent you the link, and
I did get it. Thank you. I'll check those out.
Yeah, and I also want to mention that a lot of the ideas and proposals are more like things like you could like promote or inspire your constituency with. Things that you can ideas you can give them that they can pick up and run with that will really help them, and that will probably make them really grateful, even before you even get into office somewhere. You know what I mean? So that, I think that would really be helpful if people in positions of leadership started promoting these sorts of ideas, even if they're not necessarily policies that they pass into law per se.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to put a lot of pressure on where I believe we need to have cultural shifts where policy won't be suitable. Because I'm all about using my voice to make my constituents heard.
Exactly, yeah. And cultural shifts are really necessary in order not even to make the policies suitable, but also to make it so that the policies even are enough in the first place to make a difference. Because a lot of times they're not without the cultural shift too.
I completely understand. The core of my stump speech is, do you love your neighbors? Love them enough to pay them $2,000 a month and give them sound health care? I mean, that's a real deep emotional question that you can tell with hesitation or with avoidance where people stand.
Yep.
I was going to say that a beard without a mustache is like a UBI without single-payer healthcare.
Well, what's funny is I actually did like the beard without a mustache look, and I don't know what that says, but
mustache without a beard.
I know.
Without a beard, healthcare would be universal healthcare without UBI then? This guy with a mustache and not a beard?
Oh, Sheridan didn't see that.
Yeah. So this is the quintessential oppressed worker that was driven crazy by his enslavement. You see that here where it says, better because it has to be. And you can look at his eyebrows are furrowed in this uncomfortable way. And he has this big fake giant toothy smile on it plastered on his face. You can tell he's really uncomfortable and crazy.
Wow.
And I'm talking about Sheridan, maybe when you get in Congress, tell corporations that pizza parties aren't raises and better positions.
Yeah, unfortunately, pizza isn't a material increase in our quality of life. It's very much a consumable increase in our quality of life.
And some quality is questionable as well.
Well, I don't know. The pizza can be pretty good quality, just it's only temporary,
Indeed. Indeed. And I'm all for consumables in our market.
I love pizza so much.
I honestly don't think it's a greed problem. Genuinely. I know a lot of people say that these big corporations do have a greed problem, but I think it's more of a systemic incentive problem. They were literally given the authority to take specialized government cash through welfare and at the same time force their employees onto that exact same welfare to further extort the government.
Right.
It doesn't make sense to me that we are allowing these companies to take this welfare money and not pay their employees enough to stay off of these welfare programs. It's having your cake and eating it too as a corporation. Mm-hmm. It's not right.
Wait, isn't having your cake and eating it too an expression that refers to greed?
They're taking the entire bakery, for God's sake.
I'm going to take this.
I'm sorry, what?
Isn't that the basic dictionary definition of greed? I thought you were going to say something more about the law of the jungle and how if they don't do it, they'll go out of business or something. But instead, you just started talking about greed.
Yeah, but what I mean by it is it's the incentives behind it. If we put in something like the American Scorecard, where Andrew Yang wanted to have qualities of life like our health, education, civic engagement, measured and applied as a tax rate to companies that helped increase these measurements, you could, by the force of their greed, force them to do what's right. So that's why it's not greed. It's not greed. It's the way that our system forces people to use their greed.
Well, somebody could also argue that the force of the greed is what caused the measurement tool to become the GDP in the first place, why they didn't just use a scorecard from day one.
Because we were in the Great Depression.
I agree with that. I'm just saying.
We were in the Great Depression when we came up with GDP. We just needed a number.
I'm going to always use the metric that is conducive to a long and prosperous career for you. That's what you want.
There we go. That makes more sense. Lack of creativity caused by depression of our economy.
It's opportunism. It's just people using the metric that is conducive to a long career for them. You know,
Andrew made this very popular on his campaign. Kubritz, the guy who invented GDP way back in the 20s, he said to Congress's face, this GDP measurement is not sufficient alone to measure our economy by, because it misses several crucial components of our economy, such as caring for people, children and the elderly, civic engagement, which is generally nonprofit, and the military is considered as a plus when bombs and bullets are the definition of capital destruction.
Yup.
So even the guy who made this measurement told Congress they were using it wrong. So it's not that it was a lack of imagination because of the Depression. It's a lack of care by our government.
So then we're back to greed then.
No, it's not greed. It's government authority not being utilized. It's
because
a
they're
lack
greedy
of
and don't care about the people they hurt.
No. It's a lack of political will. Yes, there are incentives that cause.
The lack of political will is because they don't care about us. Because they just want to extort us. That's why there's no political will.
I really don't believe that that's the entire picture, because I have to believe that people.
Not the entire picture, but it's part of it. Yeah, I know it's not the entire picture. It's part of it. Obviously, they're not a monolith, so you can't really paint them all with one brush. But it does describe a lot of them. Not all of them, but a decent number of people in our government.
Absolutely it does.
And Sharon, it's interesting you brought that up, the guy from the 1920s, because it reminds me of when Andrew Yang and I guess a few other people in Congress might have said this, not sure, about how we should invest more in the arts, like the art shows like around New Haven, for example, like Arts and Idea Festival every year. What are the others we have in this area?
He was actually talking about more systemic community investment. He also talked about having public funding of journalism for local news, alongside more funding for humanities and arts in local towns. Because what is life without art and journalism and entertainment? You know,
right?
And I also say
the market's slipping.
And I also say that a lot of what we need right now is for people to be more inspired, to get them off their asses and start being more motivated. Because like right now, everybody's been so demotivated by all the oppression and being stuck in these dead end slavery jobs for so long, and being in schools and everything. And it's like people don't believe that they're capable of changing things, even though they are, because they were brainwashed into believing they can't. So it's like. No, we need more people reading and consuming media that inspires us.
We need more people like Yang's idea with the a domestic exchange program.
Yeah, the American exchange.
Someone comes from a country in like Europe or Australia, and they see more of the United States than a citizen sees. What the hell is this? It's like that is this not our country? Shouldn't we have access? Movement, all these things, but then the golden handcuffs, even a rich person can't go and explore and do any of those things because they're tied to like their work. It's ridiculous. It's stupid.
I don't exactly have sympathy for the rich fucks that want to overwork, but I do have sympathy for everyone else who is stuck in a dead-end job when they know just in the next state over there's a job waiting for them that they would do better, but they don't have money to get to that job.
Even if you're going to be, even if you are a person who wants to make work, just some monotonous work, the focus of your life, you'll still do better in a system that is less corrupt. You'll have more options. You will do better along with everyone. There's no reason to fight this.
This is a rising tide, and it lifts all boats.
It's like I want to see like more of like Connecticut and New York and like Vermont and all those places, but it's like a pandemic, and it's like when you live on the West Coast and all the history of the United States happens on the East Coast. It's like, okay, well, are we ever gonna like get a chance to see it? And it's like, you may not. It's like, yeah, it's just interesting.
Cool. Hey guys, I gotta jump off here. It's been fun catching up with you guys.
Thank you for joining us, man. It was really great to catch up with you.
Yeah, congrats on 1 year, and here's to many more podcasts.
Congrats.
Thank you so much for being here, and indeed, this has been an exciting year. I look forward to the next one with you.
Yeah. All right, bye guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
It was nice to see Jeremy.
Indeed, it's always great.
Yep.
I hope he comes back. I hope that at least that at any time either Faye or Jeremy are here to help me with this thing.
but we got Mia.
Mia, of course. I need Mia in addition to them.
Wait, why wouldn't Jeremy come back?
He's got life. He's got stuff.
He's a busy dude.
But I guess you're right. You think
if this show fits into your life at some point, come. And when it stops fitting, leave. And if it fits again, come. Very simple.
I'm in terms of like ever rather than just in the near future, right? So it's like,
what'd you say?
Like if people like it enough, then if they live long enough, they'll get back to us eventually, maybe in a few decades or something. You know what I mean? So it's like,
sure.
Yeah,
we're around for decades. I don't think the Discord platform is going to be around in a decade, but all right, we'll figure it out. Maybe we'll be so strong. I hope there's not a fucking need for this show in a decade. Anyway, go on.
Hang on.
This is a fun show. We'll have it anyways.
We could be friends. We could do a different show.
Chill.
Yeah, or we could go advocate for other countries that don't have UBI. What's up?
Well, I think that this channel is about more than just UBI. I think it's about like making things better for ourselves.
It's mostly about UBI. We got a very strict focus here, Harry.
Like making things better for ourselves and for people around us, things like that. Like it's not just UBI. It's the reason the UBI matters.
Yeah.
I'll allow it.
Look, we've been going on for 2 hours and 19 minutes, and Lucas is still here with us.
Yeah.
So that means that we're worth listening to and paying attention to.
Yeah, Lucas, I hope you become a regular.
Is this every day you guys have something like
No.
this?
So every Thursday I post the schedule in the scheduled channel. Okay. And typically we do a show Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It is rare for us to do a show Monday through Thursday. It's happened maybe 2 or 3 times in a year. Okay. So.
And it's like
Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, you said?
Yep. Usually Friday, Saturday, and Sunday shows. Sometimes a social event on an evening. But I'm trying to actually shift that into something else. I may do more social events in the future, but I've been doing a thing called Friday Night Firefight with Sheridan. The genesis of which was a game night where we'd play Jackbox games and other accessible party type games in an outreach attempt. I wanted to build community, let's all socialize, but I think we were doing so many shows and people were showing up for so many shows at the time. And that's still pretty much the case. It's this crazy world, busy news cycle, and we're all doing what we can, and we're all here for each other and hanging out. And people just wanted their Saturday nights, their Friday nights, even their Sunday nights. I think so. It ended up being just me and Min Sheridan playing inaccessible games like first-person shooters that only certain kinds of people dig. So fun for us, but it just kind of became us hanging out, and I liked it. I want to spend that time doing something for doing a show for Sheridan's campaign, and I also I kind of make the offer to anyone who's a UBI advocate running for office to give you audio, video, especially audio editing support. But I'm becoming more and more a podcast producer. as I do this. So I just made the offer to Yenny. I was like, look, if you think it would raise your profile and make a difference in your race, I'd be happy to produce a podcast like once a week specifically for you where you talk to your constituents, the goal of which is to raise your profile and make you win your race. And she's like, great, let's do it Friday night. And I was like, yeah, okay. Because I already had a thing scheduled with Sheridan. But maybe we can roll those things together. Maybe we can do a show where
joint hall.
Yeah, maybe Friday night we could still do, I don't know, Friday Firefight could be, we could still do some gaming sometimes. But the focus of the show will be UBI, will be basic income candidates who are running for office. Talking to their constituents and also talking to each other and sharing campaign resources so we can all win this. So you're saying, Harry? Yeah.
I have an idea.
Yeah.
So make it a mainstream turn-based game, like chess or something.
That would be like a totally different thing.
Well, no, wait a minute, because if you make it turn-based, then you can talk at the same time about whatever you guys want to talk about.
That would be a thing we could do on a game night. But, I mean, very simply, I want to do a show where we talk to constituents of the people who are basic income candidates who are running for office, and like it morphed out. It grew out of a game night, and I'm not like it's not going to be a game night anymore. But if we do a game night, very open to suggestions for games. I'm sure you have a game you would like to run. Well, next time we do a game night, we'll do games.
What's that UBI guy? Paperboy Prince, the rapper.
I love that guy. Yeah, I love that guy. Is he a rapper? I didn't even know that. I mean, like he dresses ostentatiously, so that tracks.
You know, like Harry was saying, it's not about the money. Like dressing ostentatiously, that's what that money represents.
Dressing ostentatiously is about being awesome.
I was thinking about, how do I make this? Because being told there's someone running who wants to give you $2,000 a month has really one of two reactions. One, I clearly know that would help me. And two, why do people deserve this? Those are really the two reactions I get. And I was thinking like the other day on how to make an emotional connection to this money. And the way to do it is just to say what the money represents. You know, Yang always said it's not about the money, but he never elaborated on that.
Right, about what you can buy with it, yeah.
That money is not really the first check or even the second check. It's that third, that fourth, that sixth check, the first year's checks. That first check that your child gets after they're born. That first check that your grandson or grandkid gets and calls you and goes, I just got my first check as an adult. I'm going to spend all of it on booze and party. Do you want to join? Like those moments are what this money represents.
Right. And people will still want to be productive members of society because the purpose is just a human need. You know, like that's what pisses me off so much. Like none of us get paid to be here and to talk and to inform people and to do that. We got thing, but why are we here? You know, so if people are stupid enough to think that just giving people money will just stamp out, why are billionaires still working on their projects? Why is Jeff Bezos still working? Why is Elon Musk still working? So shove your workism up your ass, motherfucker. It's like,
Like, why was Elon working his entire factory through a pandemic when he is literally the richest person in the world right now?
Right.
Because work exists. It exists to be done.
Right. You know, it's just those people, and it drives me nuts when people say that. Oh, screw you. Sorry, not sorry. Oh no.
Indeed. All right, well, it's 25 after the hour, guys. I'm also going to have to hop off.
Yeah,
thank you so much for having this party. It's honestly been such a great year, and I look forward to the next year with you guys. And
don't forget to look at the Google Doc with the thing I sent you, Sheridan.
I will. I definitely will. Maybe not tonight, but probably tomorrow I'll get through it.
Yeah.
Cool. Absolutely. And thank you, Harry. Have a good night, all.
Have a good night.
All right, good night, Sheridan.
Sheridan.
Night.
Night.
All right.
All right. Yeah, I think we'll call it. You guys want to call it here?
Oh yeah, we can call it here.
I'll be alone with my mom again here at home.
Oh.
All right, you know what? We'll go till 3. Also,
like.
Billy the Fridge might show up.
Okay, well, we'll do a marathon today.
Because I was talking to my friend Billy the Fridge, which is a great name.
The Fridge.
Yeah, he's a real. That's his real moniker. You look him up on Google. You could go ahead. Billy the Fridge, my old pal. I hadn't talked to him in a long time, and I called him at 1 a.m. on Friday, and he's like, "What you been doing, man? You been doing music?" I'm like, "A bit, but like mostly politics, though," because he's an old music friend. And I was like, "So this is what I've been, I explained what I've been doing." And I was like, "So maybe you should run for something." I'm just kind of telling people to run for office. How about Congress? He's like, "No, but would you settle for mayor of Seattle?" I'm like, "Yeah, you're gonna run for mayor of Seattle. That's great. I'll introduce you to my people." So maybe he'll show up. He said that he doesn't like to wake up at a certain time, that it gives him too much pressure when he goes to sleep. So I understand that. And he's on the West Coast. Why is he afraid? He's a tremendous man. He's a man of size. Like a refrigerator was a sizable object. So, what was I saying about Billy the Fridge? Yeah, so he doesn't, so he's like, I was like, yeah, we'll probably be going from like 2 to 5. He's like, cool, I'll try to show up, probably towards the end, because I wake up late and it's on the West Coast. So, we won't call it here, we'll go to 3, and that way if Billy comes after 3, that's not on me. Because I told him we'd be here till 3.
5 my time on the East Coast.
What's up?
Right now it's 4:30 p.m. where I live.
Yeah.
Oh, so he has another half an hour. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. It's got a half hour.
But yeah.
Kaizen's here, so Kaizen, you can keep us company for the final half hour of our party. Yeah. Anyway.
She was having dinner with her family. That's why she couldn't make it earlier.
All right.
But yeah. So well, anyway, Lucas, this is Kaizen, and she used to live in Missouri, now in Indiana, and yeah, she shares a lot of passion about basic income, just like we do. This is so cool. We're coast to coast here.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
One other thing, Lucas. Now that you're a member of our Discord, you don't have to wait for us to be on a stream to hop into the voice chat. If you hop in and you hang out, there's always a chance someone else who's bored or lonely or like looking for your help or looking to give help will show up. So just hang out. You don't have to. Often great conversations take place when there's no recording or streaming happening. So just if you feel like if you feel like hang out anytime. Always welcome. All right, back to the talking about whatever.
Yeah, so something I was thinking about lately is that I think it would be really awesome if at some point someday there was like some kind of gaming tournament where like you like have like different some kind of gaming tournament where you have like we'll have like all the different like regional cultures of our continent sort of like sending representatives to play in it. Something like the Olympics or something, but like for like the cultural regions, and like have them each like all these different cultures that are really different from each other, sending players and like to compete in it. That would be so cool, and it would be like probably get a lot of very different people in a room together and watch sparks fly and watch them learn to understand each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, my gaming convention I went to a few months ago from a friend, and he invited me. I think it was in Massachusetts or something.
What gaming tournament are you talking about?
I don't remember. It was a few months ago. It was last summer. I think it was in Massachusetts or some out west or something. Yeah.
What game was it?
I don't remember. It was this tournament. You get to be. Well, it wasn't a tournament. It was like a video game like Comic-Con thing, and there was events of like anime and stuff in a room too and stuff.
Nice. That sounds really fun.
Yeah.
Because something I recently started writing is sort of like a screenplay or like TV show sort of script thing. I have no idea where it's going to go, if it's ever going to get anywhere. But like basically, it's a story about exactly that premise, where it's like you have like the 12 regional cultures of North America, each sending their players to compete in this tournament. and I just thought it was like really cool. I was sort of like I'm in the middle of writing it, like have like it's a Magic the Gathering tournament, and it's like the idea in the story, it's hosted by it's like started like a partnership, like sponsored by like AEP and Hasbro together, and like they're sort of like, and the idea is that like, whoever wins, will get this. We'll get well. I don't want to spoil it, what the prize is, but it's yeah. So and it's like, and I have like all these characters. Like there's like these 12 main characters who are like, each one of them is like from a different one of these cultures. It's sort of culture clash.
Yeah.
It's kind of a little bit in the style of Yu-Gi-Oh, except in real life and without all the supernatural stuff. Yeah.
I just love the fact that it's our newest member who wants us to keep going, and even though but that shows that this thing is like worth it, and newcomers are gonna listen. So I really like that.
Yeah.
So Kai, you were saying something?
Yeah.
You got interrupted or like?
No, I just wanted to know if you guys could hear me.
Now we can.
We can hear you.
I've had to go in and tweak a couple of things.
Oh,
I'm sorry I'm late. Not really fully here. We just got back from a family dinner with cousins that I haven't seen in, I don't know, a decade.
Wow.
So they're in Indiana too, and you were living in Missouri, or like what happened?
Well, yeah. So, I mean, like many people, I have two parents, two different sides of the family. All of my mom's family is in Kansas, and that's where my mom is. And all of my dad's family is basically in the Indianapolis area, on both sides of his family, both his mom and dad's side. So we've got a whole cluster of people out here in Indiana that I haven't had much opportunity to spend much time with over the last 15 years because I've been out in Kansas.
Oh wow, 15 years.
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, I've been through briefly, kind of traveling back and forth, and had a couple of meals, and came out when my daughter was first born, my oldest daughter, who's going to turn 10 in May. But when she was just a baby, we came out and spent a couple of nights and did a 4th of July with my aunt.
Nice.
But that was, I mean, she was a baby and she's almost 10, so it's been a long time.
Wow.
I'm glad to hear that, at least.
Yeah.
And there's no friction there, like with your husband and stuff.
Well, I mean, my ex, yeah. Well, I mean, there is all kinds of friction with him, but there's no friction with me and my family. And especially now that they're kind of catching on to exactly why I was so stuck in Kansas City. They're like, "Oh, honey, you should have come here a long time ago. I wish we'd known. We would have done more to help." There wasn't anything anybody could do. I mean, none of my family's wealthy, like they don't have the kind of money that they could be sending me thousands of dollars to like get out of the situation we were in for so long.
Did they
it just is what it is.
Networking their way into getting in, like spreading the word out about your situation. Like I think since it might be a mistake to underestimate when you have 10 people who really care about you. You know what I mean? Like,
well, but and hindsight's 20/20, and sometimes it's 40/20. It's like sometimes your eyesight gets really big, really good, really sharp, and very clear. Looking at so this is where we are now, and we're getting help now. So we need help now. We needed help then. It's we got different help then than we're getting now. So it all comes around. I trust God to lead this for me. And for sure, God's keeping an eye out on things that I didn't even know.
Yeah. Do they know about basic income or not?
My family,
Yeah.
some of them do. And as time goes on with spending time with them, I think I can kind of promote more with them. At this point, I'm just trying to get to know people that I haven't had any relationship with.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of one of those things where
that's fun.
we've had some multi-generational kind of family dramas that have taken years to resolve.
Yeah.
And so me being here now is part of that resolution.
Oh, cool. You know that's good because like Yang wanted to do a thing where like he'd provide for like therapy and stuff. I'm not saying it's the same, but it was like couples therapy or like marriage therapy. I mean, I think the same should be provided for some kind of like family therapy. Not to say that like people are like nuts or anything like that, but there could be some kind of arbiter or something or some kind of person without a bias or without a dog in a fight to just like look at it and give their like opinions because it always helps, you know.
You're talking about what therapists should have been.
Right, yeah, and a lot of them aren't that, unfortunately. A lot of them are very biased. A lot of them like do, you know, get in the way and do take sides and stuff like that, which is
And they also
terrible.
tend to
But
have
yeah.
really bad, like most therapists just don't have the empathy or listening skills that they need for their jobs because they weren't taught that, because the whole purpose of their job technically is not to make people mentally healthy. It's to make people a little less mentally sick so they can get back to work.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
And also for those that they can't do that with, to make them even more mentally sick so they can't go back to work. Because if they do, if they can't make them if they can't make someone a little less mentally sick so they can get back to work, the alternative to that from their perspective is to make them even more mentally sick so that they can't go back to work, so they don't make a mess of things for their employers or for their coworkers. At least that's the way it looks like to me with what they're doing, you know?
See, and I think that you're giving them way too much credit with that. I think most therapists actually get into it. Well, I don't want to say most, but many, especially the bad ones, they get into it because they're looking for answers for their own issues. They're trying to figure out what went wrong in their own lives.
Yeah,
and so even though like that's the deep
I think
reason
we're
they got
talking
into
more about
that.
like why the system was designed the way it was, not the intentions of any particular practitioners. I should have clarified that.
You got to keep in mind. You got to keep in mind that the whole idea of therapy comes from some very interesting places that I mean, none of it was really science based up until the last 30 years. Honestly, a lot of it was just an extension of old kind of witchcrafty type methods for a long time. Freud came up with the whole field of psychology, but man, none of it was science based. And in fact, his earliest writings were all about, early childhood traumas and how people carry that throughout their lives. And it caused such a stir in the high society of Vienna at the time because he was interviewing all of these young women that were reporting incest stories with their very wealthy, influential families that were behind the incest. And it caused such a ripple that he ended up having to retract all of that. And he came up with some really gross misogynistic theories as to why people get sick in the first place. And that was all a matter of social pushback. It was so he could maintain his standing in his community. It was not based on evidence or science or anything else. So a lot of what we attribute to Freud today was his revision to be more socially acceptable. It wasn't because that's what he was observing. His actual observations were that, these influential people were diddling their kids and causing severe illness.
Oh my gosh.
But that narrative couldn't go, and for him to remain connected to the social circles in Vienna at the time. So it's like even the development of psychology as a field of practice starts off with some very questionable ideas.
Yeah. Yeah. It always pissed me off when you'd probably go to like a therapist and you'd come out feeling even worse than when you did when you came in. And it's like what the hell are you idiots being paid for? What the hell? It's like I go to like get my load off my shoulders, and some of it it's like you stupid idiot. You're just like one of them was like asking in the middle of the session, so unprofessional, asking questions about the HIPAA in the middle of our talking. It's like I'm talking about something personal and close, and he was like, "Oh yeah, that." And by the way, like, did you remember to sign it like this? It's like you're supposed to get through all of that before we talk about all this stuff, you dumbass. It's like
Oh my
it's
god.
amazing. It's so pathetic.
Yeah.
It's like thing, yeah, and then I said I said no, and then I talked to her like a business. I said I'm terminating our relationship to the person because I didn't like the way it's like look like you treat people like people, not like oh and then here and then was this sign. You don't go through paperwork in the middle of when someone's talking about their personal stories and their lives and stuff like that, you idiot.
Yeah.
I'm going to assume she was a narcissist because some therapists today are really like that.
Yeah,
Right.
it's a really powerful position to have over someone else. Like,
yeah,
I'm sure a
And
lot
some
of
of them are
narcissists do
more
that.
than just narcissistic. Some of them are just outright antisocial. And they
Yeah.
like those positions because it gives them an opportunity to like get in and fuck with people in really
Right.
gross ways. And they're just like, and I can do it and I have credentials. And it's like, who are you people and why? Like, go make
Yeah.
money. Like, if that's who you are on the inside, don't mess with people's lives. Like,
Right.
go and do the jobs where your lack of empathy and your lack of humanity will make you oodles of dollars. But
Right.
but you can't really say that to people. It makes you highly unpopular in your work circles if you call people out on their narcissism or their antisocial behavior.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
I did that repeatedly when I was in my foster care job and just about got fired over it. They're like, you can't say that about people. And I'm like, I'm watching these, arguably social workers do
Be
things that
antisocial.
downright antisocial.
Right.
You
It's
telling me to mind
the
my own business? What's wrong with you?
that's evil.
Yep.
You know, if you guys should look up this Daniel Mackler guy. He has a lot to
Yes.
say about it. He's on YouTube and he talked about like how, we went deeply into it that we're not allowed to be ourselves. It's like some people wear a mask because they're crazy and they're sociopathic, but then they want you to wear a mask. And if you
Right.
don't wear a mask, which is kind of ironic because we're in a pandemic and everybody wants you to wear a mask. But we're talking about wearing a mask as in like be a different personality than who you are,
Right.
played by the rules of this sickening game, or we're just gonna ostracize you. So much for freedom and speech of expression, where so much if you do want your freedom of your own speech and your own expression, then you have to worry about your relationships and your finances. So it's not like they forced you to say certain words or do certain things, but they withhold from you if you refuse to do that. And that's why I think UBI is such a big deal, because people can be more free to be themselves without having to worry about fired or losing a relationship that provides them with the money they need. Yeah.
Yep.
Fundamental value of freedom and humanity.
Yep.
I think too many people don't understand that freedom as a concept is something that you kind of have to claim for yourself, and a lot of that has to do with being able to direct your own time. And if you're in wage labor, that's a per hour contract. You're selling yourself for however many dollars per hour you're being paid, and you're giving up your liberty to accept.
Right.
And
To a
those
nameless,
contracts,
faceless machine.
Yep.
well, but those contracts are relatively new in the whole of human history, if you think about it. Like those particular contracts are something that have really only been around for the last 100 years, and really only been around for like the last 75. Because if you look back at 1920, you're still looking at 80% of the US population was still involved in some sort of agriculture, whether or not it was subsistence agriculture or agriculture, to produce food for the community. And now that we've automated all of that, now that we've mechanized it, now that we've gone monoculture versus, diversity like we had 75, 100 years ago, like
monoculture, you mean?
Those systems have fundamentally changed and have left family farms and are now these big monolith corporate farms. And it's not even a farm anymore. It's a food production facility.
Yep.
Even though it's on dirt, it's a food production facility. You've got thousands and thousands of acres that no single family could ever be in charge of, but it all belongs to Cargill, having Cargill crops, and that's what they're going to harvest. They're going to harvest the Cargill crops off of those thousands and thousands of acres, and they're going to make Cargill a lot of money, and they're going to food buy at the grocery store instead of pulling it out of our own garden.
You know what I like about all of this? These conversations are so much more consequential than the kind of bullshit lectures that I got in school and college. That's what I love about this round table. This is like real shit. This is like real talk. It's not like find the hypotenuse of a triangle, or in 1911 some idiot did some stupid thing. It's like, what's going on right now? It's going on right here, and that's I just appreciate that about like this here.
If 10 people enter the roundtable Discord channel chat, if 10 people enter the roundtable Discord voice chat, and then 2 leave, but then 1 person comes back, how many people are in the voice chat? Sorry, couldn't resist.
Who cares?
Yep.
Shoot people in
No, you have to care, because if you don't, you'll get a bad grade and you won't be able to get a job or go to college or get a job. You have to answer the question. How many people are in the voice chat right now? After not like right now, but after you got 10 people, then 2 people leave and 1 person comes back. If you don't answer this question, you're going to get a bad grade, and you won't be able to go to the right school you want to go to. You won't be able to get a job you want. So you got to answer the question.
9.
Go ahead, Kai. I have to get on.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
I don't know that I was saying anything other than, I mean, like, I don't know, like all of our
No,
foundations
like you were
so
talking
flawed.
about the mechanization of these farms, and I was just saying that because this is so important for us to know, because like I live in the city, so I'm not exposed to these things. I don't even know that these things just happen. I just go to the grocery store and I just buy things and I just come home because nobody explains this kind of stuff. That's what I mean.
I'm surprised that I know about it already. Because like I haven't really met all that many like farmer friends at all. I don't have no idea how I found out about this. Honestly, I don't remember how I learned about it. I might have read about it somewhere. I don't know.
See, and so I come from on both sides of my family. Both sides of my family, our backgrounds were that we farmers, all of us, like on the McCoy side and on my mom's side. I mean, my mom and I still own farmland that has been, tenant farmed forever. We aren't farmers. My mom's dad was a machinist. He didn't, but we owned farmland for sure, because that was the bread and for so long, even though he and my grandparents, before it was popular, he was a machinist. He traveled all over. He worked for he worked for John Deere and fixed John Deere tractors, and he got to the point where he was salaried and an expert machinist, and he'd go out on site and then go tool specific parts for some of the older John Deere tractors that they didn't have back in the day, before it was all automated, before it was all uniform, all of those tractors, in the early 1900s were still made by hand. They weren't made on an assembly line. The assembly line didn't come for a little bit later. So this is where he would have to go do repairs on some of these big tractors that had been around for a while, and they didn't have parts anymore. He had to make them.
So I heard you don't need a degree to be a machinist. You just kind of like learn and do it, right?
It's a trade. It's a trade like plumbing or electrical or anything else. And I mean,
I was never told that machining was ever an option when I was young.
Well, but that's also one of the deficiencies of our educational system. We want everybody in college prep. We want everybody to be college ready. And the truth of the matter is, only a certain portion of most students are going to have the skill sets to be successful in college. And this is kind of like what I call the school to poverty pipeline. Is we drive as many students as we can into college, knowing that 2/3 of them are going to never finish because they weren't actually ready for college to begin with. And the whole purpose is to get people tied into these lifelong then student loans. That so then you don't have a degree and you might have a college class or two, but you have a mountain of debt. That shit you can't get out of, not even hardly with death.
So it's like it's a snare.
It is. It's absolutely. It's a snare to keep you stuck in the wage system. And the smartest people that I've ever met are people who have no social security card and have never participated in it. They show up, they do the work, they get paid in cash, and they go on their way. They get in as much cash as they need to get from point A to point B, whatever their journey's taken them on. And some of those people are the most balanced, the most trustworthy, the most reliable, the most self-sufficient, the most street smart people. And some of them actually book smart too, because they have time to sit and read books rather than being forced to read whatever the people that are designing the curriculum think that needs to be taught. And that's part of the problem with higher education, is that you have essentially publishing houses deciding what textbooks are going to be used in college classes. And so like the #1 economics book is the same book that they've used for almost 40 years now. No one else uses any other economics primer for the most part, other than like this one book. And that economics book doesn't give you a broad perspective. It gives you very narrow Western perspective on what economy is and how to run it.
I think I'm noticing something here. It's blackballing of like people who can see beneath the surface and read between the lines, and they keep the people who are just like the good little slaves. That would explain while someone like you can explain things so well and like know all these things, like you get like blackballed and judged while they keep all the people who like have no critical thinking skills and really can't help people. Am I hitting on something here, or like?
Yeah, I think you're onto something really strong, because like, why is it that I have such a hard time holding on to a job when I'm more honest than the average person, and certainly honest than many people with power? You know what I mean? And I'm certainly as smart as anybody with power, but then what? How do you explain that I've been living in poverty for so long? Other than that, I don't fit in. I don't fit into the wage system at all, because I'm not shy about saying, oh, I see where it's broken. I see where you're being inefficient. And if you make these 3 changes, you'll see your revenues jump up, and people push back on that hard, because they're less about the revenue and are more about the bonded.
Their ego. It's all ego.
Well, it's not even about ego. It really is about I'm a slave to this system, and you need to be as slaved as I am. And how dare you think outside the box to make our jobs easier or better or more revenue generating, when I didn't come up with that idea and you're just a dumb girl. And I've gotten that a few times, and I'm just like, you can go fuck yourself.
Sounds about right. That's what they do. And I don't think it's just the people in power. I think that's everyone.
Not an idiot like they are.
Right.
Well, I think most people talk like that. It's like they all have that attitude towards each other, because it's like, because this is how parents generally treat their kids too. They'll be like, if the kid comes up with some creative out of the box idea for how to like help the parents, like help them better, and the parents like just be quiet and like don't speak unless you're spoken to, that sort of thing. It's the exact same thing.
Same in school. Same in like
Yep.
you know like the teachers and stuff. Like I remember I was in middle school and my teachers were a bunch of stupid, ignorant fascists. Like I don't think it's a coincidence. It's like yeah, it's
I think
like
it's
this
heartbreaking.
American fascism.
I think it's heartbreaking to end up going. I mean, because I've taught in a higher education institution. Arguably, it was community college, still higher education, but I wasn't teaching higher education. I was teaching basic education at the college level
Yep.
to students that needed a high school diploma, but some of them were 80, 60 years old. You know, they were old people who still didn't have the rudimentary stuff. And the push for all of those students was, and if you do this, then you can go to college. And I'm just like, what are we doing? Are you
Wow.
honestly telling me that I'm supposed to be selling college classes to my 60-year-old students
Oh my
who
gosh,
just
that's
want a high
ridiculous.
school degree because that's been their lifelong goal and they want to achieve that before they reach retirement age? What's wrong with you? Like I had a knockdown drag out once with my with our department director who just got really
Wow.
mad at me. She's like, "You're not talking to these kids enough." And she's called them all kids, even though some
Oh
of
my
them were
gosh.
older than her. You know, you're not talking to these kids enough about going to college. And I'm like, woman, the students that I have in my class, I have the lowest level students. Some of my students don't even have a third grade reading level. And you know it. Why would I waste a second of your time talking to them about college? Let's
Wow.
teach them how to count. Let's teach them how to do some multiplication tables before we start logging college at these folks.
Right.
And they're not all
Yeah.
kids, they're grown up. They may act like children because they don't have an education, but that's not for me or for you to call them out on.
Yeah,
Mhm.
our school and university systems are just rife with these fascist, ignorant fuckers. Like
Yep.
I'm just so that's what really boils my blood. But I'm glad.
Well, and it's a combination of the fascist ignorant ones, and then there's the the wealthy liberal white do-gooders. And that was the category that she fell into. Wealthy, educated, white. And well, look, I'm serving all of these impoverished people. I'm helping my community. I'm doing all of this good work. Pat me on the back. Tell me how wonderful I am to step down. Instead of getting a cushy big university position, I'm at the community college where I can do more good. And that was the lady that I worked for. And you know, after after a year, I was like, "Oh, you're a piece of shit, lady." And so like rather than me really kind of pushing against her to make change happen, I just ended up leaving that position after she yelled at me in front of students. And I'm like, I'm not taking abuse like this from my boss. Not in front of my students who need to be able to
So
trust me. And
how
they're not
can
going to trust me if she's calling me out in front of them like that.
right. How can like women empower other women when we got these like bad women like you know.
Well, as I say, they're less like women and they're more like dudes with skirts. They're more like white men wearing skirts because they're the what women like her are doing is propping up that white patriarchal hierarchy of we know what's best for everybody, and everybody who's poor, everybody who's black, everybody who's not a native English speaker is actually an infant, and we need to care for them by teaching them their proper place in the world.
Well, that's what means testing is about, right? And that's why it's so wonderful, because it's like we have to monitor the ways that you get money, or else you're going to be the bad guy. When it's like, hey, fuckface, just give it, stop the means testing, and just let it happen, and we'll see the results.
And honestly, it feels to me like it's sort of like the sort of thing Daniel Mackler says: hurt people hurt people. But I would also go even further and say, people who are controlled don't have enough control, so they try to control others. It's that endless cycle, you know. Everybody feels so helpless and feels like they have so little control over their lives. You know, because they have so little control over their lives, they try to control everyone else.
Except for the people that don't feel that way, and then they don't understand how trapped the rest of us are, because they've never had that experience, because they have had the more affluent backgrounds with the kinder, gentler parents, or no parents but nannies or whoever that have given them some sort of nurturing through their development, that have given them some sort of sense of that there's a world around them. I don't know what I'm saying.
Right, and kids are also the captive audiences, so it's like this generational offloading, that it's like, oh, like the parents had kids that felt like controlled, but they have no one else to abuse and control, so they have kids and they abuse and control their kids, and then their kids abuse and control their kids.
Yup.
On and on and on.
I know.
And that speaks really clearly to just what I've been going through the last couple months, which is that I hit that moment of realizing, oh, there's violence in my life because there are people in my life that are bringing it to me.
Yup.
By the way that they're interacting with my children. And if I want to have a peaceful life, I need to stop this interaction that these people are having with my kids, who are then learning how to be violent, and then they bring it to me, and that's not in my nature. But then, because of my trauma, I respond in ways that people perceive as violent, when really it's self-defense for me.
Yep.
Yeah.
But a child doesn't know the difference between mom's acting in self-defense and mom's being violent. And so if I don't want my kids to worry about whether or not I'm being violent, then I need the violence in their lives to stop happening. Because when they bring it into me, all that does is trigger me. And it's not my fault that I'm being triggered, but it is my responsibility. And I had to have that kind of heart-wrenching discussion with myself first, of what's actually going on here, and how much of this is you, and how much of this is outside of you, and how much of this can you control, how much of this can you change, and how much of this is outside of your control. So and then like going through kind of those mental checklists and realizing, no, I'm very limited in the choices I can make here. And the best choice for my kids, not necessarily for me, but it also ended up being also for me, is to take them away from the person with the violence. That's bringing the violence into our family. And the person who brought the violence into my family wasn't me.
And I would also say, like, from the perspective of kids in that sort of situation, like, you know, a kid isn't really, they tend to see the adults as like the people who have the power over them, and the people that they are supposed to want, that they want to be able to trust, you know. So if they're trapped in a situation and where their father is being really violent to them, you know, and then they look to, and then because they can't get, their father is not going to save them because he's the perpetrator. They look to their mother and they're thinking, why doesn't my mother rescue me from this? Why doesn't my mother just take us and leave and rescue us from this horrible person, because she's in on it, you know? To the simple mind of a child, that's what it looks like to them, you know? That's probably why they were like learning to be violent to you, just like from him, because like they probably thought that was the only way they could get their needs taken care of or something.
Well, I mean, and I wish I could say that my children's thinking is that complex, and it's not. It's
not
as simple as what you said earlier, Harry. It's hurt people hurt people.
Exactly.
And that's absolutely true for a kid.
Exactly.
So that's where you know that, you know, at least I knew as a kid, the kids that were bullying me at school were the ones with the worst home lives. I knew that instinctively.
Yeah, exactly.
And I can even remember one of the worst times I got bullied was the time that I said to somebody, hey, I know your dad beats you up. I've heard it. You don't have to take that shit out on me. Why don't you take it out on him?
Wow. Yeah, and it's like, I'm not saying that they're consciously thinking this. I'm just describing sort of like the sort of causal mechanism that would like, exactly what you just said. Hurt people. So it's like, so it's like they probably were like, but I would also say part of it might also be that kids in that sort of situation often feel kind of abandoned when they feel like their other parents should rescue them, and then they're not being rescued, and they don't feel safe because of that. And it's like they don't feel like they can trust either parent because of that.
Part of my big part of my decision to leave was seeing the adults around me kind of watch him abuse the kids and look at me like, why aren't you doing anything? And then to have one of my close friends say to me, look, I love you, I love your kids, I want to be around here, but I can't be here when he's around because of how he treats them, because of what he does to them. I can't do that, because if I see him do that again, I'm gonna pull out my gun and shoot him.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was a very strong, I don't, and this is where we were living in the church. I'm like, you can't bring a gun in here. Like, you can't do that. This is a church. It's a pacifist church. And he's like, I don't give a shit where I am. I cannot sit by and watch him hurt your kid.
Mm-hmm.
Can't do it. And I know that I can't do what I am gonna do if I see it again. So that means I can't be around you and your kids when he's around.
Yep.
And then less than a month after my friend said those things to me and started making himself scarce, it turns up that, my kid's dad and his sister called in a report that dude was molesting the kids.
Oh my God.
And it's like, that's just part of your way of trying to snatch these kids from me, and you be in complete control over when I see the kids and how I parent the kids and where we live and all of that other stuff. And I'm just done with it.
Yep.
And it's like, this is at the point where, whatever comes next, and I might end up being faced with a court order in my face demanding that I return the kids to their dad. I ain't gonna do it. I will go to jail before I do.
Yeah.
And I don't think they can put me in jail because I'm their mom and it's not a crime.
Yep. What do you think they'll try to put you in jail? That was weird.
Yeah.
That's kind of scary that she suddenly went off right at that point.
Maybe she didn't want to talk about it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess
it's a tough thing to.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, the fact that she went off at exactly that point, like, even though I'm probably just worrying over nothing. It's almost like this gives the impression of, oh, she was saying things that somebody in power doesn't want us to hear or something. I know it's probably ridiculous, but like that's the emotional reaction, like should be like it's like that moment where like somebody's talking about their trauma and how and the people who are persecuting them, and then it's like suddenly they go offline for no reason, and then it's like, oh, have the people who've been persecuting them caught up with them? Is that why they suddenly had to go offline because they had to deal with the crisis from the people who are trying to stop them from talking about the situation? You know what I mean? Like, even though I know it's probably not what it is, it's like,
Yeah. The connection from.
I know she said it early back, but she mentioned books, and I'm like, wow, she's absolutely right, because now from the library, I order online my website on the library. Like, I order a book almost every month.
Mm-hmm. Oh, by the way, something I want to say earlier that I didn't get a chance to say earlier, I wanted to ask about. So the story that I've been writing that I mentioned earlier, the sort of been writing sort of like a screenplay sort of format. I'm not sure if it's going to be a screenplay or a TV show, or if it's even going to ever be shown to anyone at all. But another idea I thought of would maybe be like a radio sort of thing, like have people like read it, like in sort of like read it aloud sort of thing, where like different people play different characters or something, like like audio form. But I'm not sure if it would work for that or not. So it's like you guys want to hear what I have of it so far? Some of it, and see if you guys like it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So here we go. Now let me take myself, put myself on automatic audio so that I'm not having to hold down the Alt key constantly. Audio. Voice activity. There we go. Okay. Announcer. It's now March 13th, 2022. And you know what that means, right? That's right. Only 100 days until the summer solstice and the Magic the Gathering Continental Tournament. In 100 days, the most powerful teams of planeswalkers in all the land will battle for magical supremacy. Each of the 12 North American cultural nations may select one team to represent them, using whatever selection process they like. The winners will bring great honor to their nations, as well as early access to a new technological innovation which will change the world. And a hefty cash prize, if you care about that sort of thing. The match format will be adaptive short mode. The game format will be legacy. You can find the rules in the description of this video. This event is sponsored by AEP in partnership with Hasbro, grassroots organizers, and viewers like you. Good luck, everybody! In a mobile family game shop in a small trailer town out in the middle of nowhere somewhere in the Midlands. This town is a safe haven founded by disillusioned Vietnam War veterans. Despite not having much money, they have excellent operational security. Izzy. Why wouldn't I want to make the most powerful deck possible, Grandpa? Grandpa. Any deck you bring, your opponents could use against you. So it's better to build a deck whose relative power level is harder to measure for those unfamiliar with it. One which you could defeat more easily than someone else could. If you cannot overcome yourself, you cannot overcome anyone. Izzy. I see. And my opponents can look at my deck before the match, right? Grandpa. They can and they will. They will all know of the blade you wield.
I gotta hop off here. Thank you guys for hanging out. You're welcome to keep hanging out. I'm just gonna end the stream, but thanks.
Sure.
Happy anniversary to everybody.
Yeah.
And I will see you guys next week.
I didn't think we were being recorded, were we?
We've been recorded this whole time.
Oh, I didn't realize that because we didn't have the Craig on here. Whoops, I didn't realize that. Whoops.
Well, so it goes.